Today, I have brought for you a mind blowing story. Because just imagine if someone beats you up so badly that they break your arms and legs, then bandages you up, and then breaks your arms and legs again, and bandages you up again, how would you feel? So, just from this hint, you can understand what kind of story this is going to be. So, before starting the story, let me tell you that its ending is going to be very sad. So, let's start a story where a normal human becomes so overpowered that he eventually turns into a complete monster. Yes, we are watching the first episode of Bones, where at the beginning we are shown that 10 years ago the gates had opened. From there, a whole lot of monsters had entered our world. And this is where the story begins. Many heroes emerged, and together they defeated all the monsters. Here, these events from 10 years ago are being thought about by a boy who isn't wearing a shirt and something hits him hard in the face, making him almost lose consciousness. We find out that this boy's name is Jiyoung, who says, "I'm just a loser." And we see that the ones who hit him are three students who are awakened at school, meaning their powers are reawakening. Now, here he says, "I also have the ability to regenerate, but it only seems like an S class power when in reality it's not, and it hurts a lot whenever I use this power to regenerate myself." They know all of this, which is why they keep attacking me again and again, so that I have to regenerate myself and they can laugh at me when I'm in extreme pain. And once I heal myself, there's no proof left here that anyone ever beat me up. Even teachers or the police can't do anything about this because those three get special privileges from the government here since all three of them are S rank awakened, and the only reason I'm enduring all of this is my mom. Now we see a scene at his home where Jiyoung returns and his mom tells him that the food is ready on the table and to come eat. Here we find out that his father had died when he was only 5 years old. Now his mom asks him how school was. So he lies to his mom and says that it went really well. Here he says that once he finishes his studies, he will become a hunter, and he motivates himself thinking that with his powers, he will at least become a sea-level hunter. So here, his mom says that even though my income is low, we can at least manage to live in a decent place, and she works so hard that her hands are damaged, but still she says, "You just be happy." After that, quite a few days pass, and then one day, it's his mother's birthday. He comes home to wish her a happy birthday, but what is this? As soon as he arrives, he sees that his mother is in a terrible condition because someone has beaten her up very badly. There is also an officer present who says that it was just an accident, but he realizes that it wasn't an accident at all because those three scoundrels had come there to eat and were saying very filthy things to her. The one with white hair says, "What do you think about me?" He says, "I am also awakened and I can make diamonds too." Seeing their behavior, even Kang's mother starts to feel ashamed and begins to leave. But by mistake, her hand touches that scoundrel's phone and his phone falls to the ground. Here, she picks up his phone and says, "It looks like your screen is broken." She asks, "How can I pay for it?" She had barely said this when that scoundrel completely tore her apart with his diamond. Thinking about all this, Kang becomes extremely disappointed and starts crying. So much so that he starts hurting himself, scratching himself violently over and over again, to the extent that he ends up peeling off his own skin completely. This scene here is extremely terrifying. Now we see that all three of those scoundrels sit outside the city in a forest and say, "Are you sure we've done the right thing? Are you sure that woman won't die?" Then one of them says, "Who cares?" So here, the one with white hair says, "Don't be afraid, the government will protect us because we are awakened." He's still nervous here, but then the one with white hair says again, "Are you sure this is the first time I've done something like this?" Now we see that a mysterious person comes and asks, "Why did you do all this?" At this point, no one understands who this man is or what he is talking about. Then, getting a bit angry, he says, "Why did you do all this after all?" Here, it is revealed to us that this is Kang, who shouts loudly, "Why did you do all this to my mom?" But here, the man with white hair doesn't budge at all and says, "Oh, so it's you, you scoundrel. Your mom really is quite young." Hearing all this, Kang starts crying so much in front of him that he rushes at him to attack. But the man with white hair swings his hand and, in a single move, pulls out his diamond right through Kang. But here, Kang is so full of anger and energy that he pulls out the diamond stuck in his own throat with his bare hands, and this scene is so terrifying that I can't even describe it to you. Because Kang is in so much pain, I can't even explain it. Seeing all this, even those three scoundrels get scared, wondering how he's regenerating so quickly. So here, Kang heals himself again, gets even angrier, and says, "I will kill you bastards." But then the guy with the diamond moves his hand again, and this time he completely shreds Kang to pieces. And here they're saying, "Who the hell do you think you are, you bastard?" So here Kang says, "Nothing, just a loser," and once again charges at them to attack, even starting to curse at them. But here we see that this scene is so intense that I actually get goosebumps all over. Now, here the guy with the diamond tells his companion, "That's enough of him. Now, Thor, show him what you can do." Now, that boy suddenly gets a huge surge of energy. So much so that he almost completely burns Kang to ashes right there, and Kang becomes so exhausted, so utterly defeated, that he falls to his knees, his entire body covered in blood. Now, all three of those thugs are leaving after beating him up. But then somehow, Kang suddenly finds some strength from who knows where. He gets back up and says, "Where do you think you're going? You think you can just leave now?" Seeing all this, the guy with the diamond loses his cool. He puts the diamond on his hand and starts hitting Kang in the face again and again, saying, "Why did you have to save your mom?" Here, he beats him so badly that, as you can see on my screen, I just can't watch this scene, because he literally shoved his whole hand into his mouth. Now, at this point, the guy with the diamond also gets really exhausted and calls one of his associates. He says, "Hey, Sandman, now you'll have to bury him here. Bury him right here." But even here, Kang still doesn't give up. He's still trying to get up. But at this point, the diamond guy gets so twisted in the head that he tries to completely cover and bury him with sand inside his diamond. But here Kang is still saying to him, "I'll kill you, I'll kill you, I'll kill you." But here the other guy says, "Yeah, no problem, you can try to kill me if you want." Now those three thugs completely trap him inside the diamond, bury him, and then leave from there. But we see that Kang is still alive inside that diamond because he has the power of regeneration, so he doesn't die. That's why Kang screams and shouts loudly inside the diamond, even hitting his hands and feet against it. But none of this makes any difference, because all of this is made of diamond. He is imprisoned inside the diamond, to the point that even he has given up hope. Even his hands have given out from hitting it so much. Here he screams even more because he can't breathe in there. He is in pain, and he even starts to lose consciousness. But he has the power of regeneration. That's why he keeps forcing himself to regain consciousness again and again. As I told you at the beginning, his regeneration power comes with pain. Here, he keeps dying again and again and keeps regenerating again and again. Along with that, he is constantly in pain. So much so that I can't even describe it to you, because with every passing moment, his pain keeps increasing and increasing. There isn't even a single second here when he isn't in pain. So here we see that he starts remembering his mother because he is completely broken, and he starts cursing his powers. He says that these powers aren't even letting him die. Here he screams and shouts a lot, saying that he is completely powerless and useless. But here he thinks for a moment and says, "How is it possible that my mother is in such a terrible state, in so much pain and suffering, and I'm just sitting here crying and giving up? I shouldn't be doing this. I will definitely get out of here. It doesn't matter at all how much time it takes, because I will get out of here, and that too, alive." Now it is shown that he keeps hitting those rocks, keeps hitting them, and in doing so, 5 years pass by, and we are shown this scene directly 5 years later, where, on a TV show, there's an interview with those three hunters, and it's said that these three hunters are known for their innocence because they help everyone. And here the entire audience is listening to them attentively. But now we are shown that these are the same three scoundrels who put Kang in this condition. Now, in the interview, a man asks, "We've heard that 5 years ago you used your powers to brutally attack a woman." So here the entire audience is listening to them intently. And here he's putting on a bit of an act. He says, "She was my friend's mother. All of this happened because I lost control over my powers. That's the only reason all this happened." Now, after seeing his speech, everyone here is happy, thinking, "This is our hero." Suddenly, someone breaks down the door and throws the broken door straight at the guy with white hair. But the guy with white hair protects himself using his diamond power. And here he can't understand what's actually going on. All the people present there run away from the scene. And this guy is so dangerous that the ground cracks as he walks, and his appearance alone is terrifying. Here, the guy with white hair couldn't figure out anything. He suddenly disappears from there and instantly appears right in front of his face. Now here, we are shown a scene from 5 years ago where Kang is breaking stones. He says, "How much time has passed? Some months or maybe some years." Because here I keep breaking these diamonds, but they don't even get a single scratch. Here he realizes that his regeneration power is very different from others, because as he keeps breaking the stones, he regenerates and becomes even more powerful, and the bones in his hands are coming out. In fact, the bones in his shoulders, his legs, and even his entire body are coming out. And in this way, he has completely regenerated. But along with regeneration, he experiences a lot of pain. With the pain, all of his blood has been lost. All the flesh has come off his body. His bones are broken, and that causes him even more pain. But here, when he has fully regenerated, the pain is so intense that he says this pain is worse than death. Yet he still continues with it, breaking it bit by bit, breaking it again and again, and one day he finally manages to get out of there. Now, here in the present, they show us a scene again where the white-haired guy gets hit with a powerful punch. Seeing this, both of his friends are shaken from head to toe because he is knocked out with just one punch. And here, we are shown Kang's absolutely terrifying look, where he has fully regenerated and turned into a monster. Now here, he starts remembering his past, where he says, "Yeah, you come outside if you can." So here, Kang says, "Here you go, I've come outside." Then we see that the white-haired guy, even though he took a punch, stands back up and says, "Kill him!" So here, out of Changu and Mangu, Changu uses his power and tries to electrocute him again, just like he did before. But no, yeah. This time Kang was 100 times more powerful than before. In fact, the electricity was just tickling him, and it made him even more agile, and because of this electricity, he beheaded him. After this, we see that both of his friends are left just watching all of this happen, because right in front of them, their friend was killed. They couldn't bear it, so here we see that there was so much anger in Kang's eyes that it seemed like he would devour both of them alive. So here, to avenge their friend, they try once again to imprison him just like they did for the past 5 years. But what's this? We see that this time, Kang starts getting angry because they're trying to pull the same stunt again. But what's this? Here, we see that Kang breaks free from the imprisonment, and this time, as soon as he's out, he grabs him by the jaw. Here, he doesn't just grab his jaw, he actually rips it apart, completely breaking it. Now he starts crying over his jaw, lamenting that his jaw has been broken. At this point, Kang is about to kill him when the white-haired guy cunningly sneaks up from behind and hits him on the back of the neck. Here, we are shown that this doesn't make any difference. In fact, the white-haired guy ends up getting hurt himself. Now he gets really scared. So to escape from him, he starts using all his power amidst the commotion in the building. So much so that the entire building starts to shake. But here, we are shown that he uses his power so much that he tries to inflict even more pain than he has in the past 5 years. And here, he even shoots his own diamonds right through him. But what's this? Nothing happens to Kang here. So seeing all this, the white-haired guy gets scared. Now Kang starts regenerating himself again. But this time, he doesn't feel any pain because he's gotten used to it over the past 5 years. Seeing this, the white-haired guy gets even more terrified, and to protect himself, he covers his own body with a layer of diamonds so that he can fight him. Now here, Kang is stuck in the same place. Taking advantage of this, he keeps attacking him again and again, and here he even puts his hand into his mouth. But here we see that Kang's jaw is so strong that he actually bites off his hand. Seeing this, the white-haired guy starts screaming and shouting, trying to save his hand. But what's this? We are shown that Kang's other hand has already pierced right through the white-haired guy by this point. Now here, Kang starts chewing on his hand even more fiercely. At this point, he's in so much pain that he starts screaming even louder, begging to be let go. Now here, to escape, he uses his power to shoot his diamonds right through Kang's chest. But in the process, his hand gets stuck in Kang's mouth. This causes his hand to get severed, and he runs away from there with his severed hand. But no. Kang wasn't going to let him escape so easily without getting his revenge. That's why he shoots his diamond right through him as well. Now here, we finally see the scene where Kang takes his revenge from 5 years ago. Here, he starts begging, crying, and says, "Please don't come near me." But here, Kang's eyes are filled with intense anger, and what's even more painful is that the white-haired guy starts bleeding from his mouth as well. So much so that there's blood everywhere all around. Even now, his death hasn't come yet. At this point, the white-haired guy is in a lot of pain and asks, "Who are you? And why are you doing all this to me?" So here, Kang replies by taking off the mask from his face with his own hands, revealing something grotesque. Now the white-haired guy recognizes him and says, You're the one we used to call a worm." And here Kang says, "Now tell me, who is the worm?" Now no one listens to him here, and they start beating him up without mercy, which is extremely painful for the white-haired guy. Now he beats him in exactly the same way as Kang was beaten, but here Kang doesn't bite him. Instead, he rips his head off. And after doing that, he starts panting, having finally taken his revenge after seeing all this. And after this, a deep silence falls all around, and soon it starts raining, with raindrops beginning to fall on the splatters of blood. Now, we are shown a night scene where Kang secretly sneaks in to meet his mother. But here he sees that even after 5 years, his mother is still hospitalized in the same condition, just as bad as before. Seeing all this, Kang becomes extremely sad and starts crying. Now we are shown the next day, where we see that a portal has opened at a certain place. Inside this portal, there are some monsters that have already been killed. They were killed by some hunters. One of them tells a girl that she did a great job and says, "You're saying this is your first time coming this deep into these gates?" So the girl replies, "Yes, absolutely, and thank you so much for bringing me into these gates." But what is this? All these guys lose their morals when they see a girl alone here, and they say that no one really knows what happens inside these gates and what doesn't. One of the burly men says, "Sometimes it takes more than a month just to get out of here, and I could easily spend a month here with a beauty like you." At this point, the girl starts crying. But what is this? Suddenly, there is an attack from behind, and her head is severed. Everyone here becomes alert and turns around to see what just happened. The girl is completely terrified and stops crying. And here, we see that it was actually Kang who did this. After this, everyone becomes cautious and, thinking he is a monster, tries to attack and kill him. But here, Kang doesn't seem to be affected at all. After this, we see a swordsman who tries to pierce Kang's heart with his katana. But what's this? His katana proves useless against Kang and breaks into two pieces. Now it's his turn next, so he kills the swordsman and the others. After that, only two weaklings are left, and one of them says that it's impossible for such high-level monsters to be present in these gates. Then we see Kang wipe out both of them as well, and now he starts moving towards the girl. But here, the girl is scared, and when Kang sees her, he doesn't kill her, he just keeps staring at her. So here, the girl falls silent and feels like Kang has come to save her. So she starts crying in front of him and says, "Thank you so much. You came here to save me." But before she can even finish speaking, her head is separated from her body, and Kang is the one who does this with his own hands. Now we are shown a scene from earlier where Kang has taken his revenge by killing those three thugs. Now, with nothing left for him to do, he just sits there and cries. Then from behind him a voice says, "Very good. After all, you finally took your revenge from 5 years ago." At this, Kang asks, "Who are you?" That's when she introduces herself. She says, "I am the head of Korea's Hunter Association, and my name is Jiyoung." So he asks, "How do you know me?" Then she says, "I've been watching you for the past 5 years." Hearing this, Kang gets angry and moves forward to attack her. But then she says, "I can save your mother." As soon as Kang hears these words, he is taken aback and stops right there saying, "What? Say that again." So she says, "Your mother. Yes, I can heal her just like before. And if anyone can cure your mother, it's a healer of such a rank level in the whole world, and that's only me." Now here, Kang asks her, "Why should I trust you after all?" So here, Jiwon tells him, "What do you think? While you were imprisoned for those 5 years, your mother was also admitted to that hospital for 5 years. Was she able to recover? Did anything change in her condition? No." So here, Kang feels that yes, what she's saying makes sense. That's why he asks, "What do you want in return for this, after all?" Then here, Jiwon smiles and says, "The problem is that the hunters in this world are even more powerful than the entire military force." Forget military force, they're even more powerful than the entire nuclear force. Now here, thanks to those who defeated all the monsters inside the gates. Here, almost all the monsters are gone, but the gates themselves haven't disappeared. The gates are still right where they were. Now here, she says that although the monsters are gone, other countries are using those gates for their own battles. They're doing this with their powerful hunters so they can rule over other countries. Now our nation doesn't have powerful hunters, so we can't stop this fight. Even the invaders from Japan are interfering here in our country. Anyway, now that you have come here. Now here, she says that if we tell Japan about all these things, then a fight here is certain to happen. But all these things, this fighting and all, can't just happen with a monster. I'm actually talking about you. If you listen to us, we will save your mother. So here we are shown that Kang did all of this for this very reason. As for the girl and all these boys here, they are all from Japan who have come here to infiltrate. Now here, Kang looks at his mother's photo, and all he can think about is, if you become our monster, we will save your mother. Now here we are shown that Kang is not at all happy after doing all this. He is so deeply saddened that he starts crying tears of blood here, which makes the scene extremely tragic. This is where the third episode begins, with a beautiful scene in Japan where we are shown the office of the Prime Minister. Here we are shown that the Defense Minister himself is having a very important meeting with a certain hunter. Now here it is shown that the Defense Minister is deeply lost in thought and says, "Have extremely dangerous monsters entered inside the gates?" So the hunter replies, "No." Hearing this, the defense minister slams his hand on the table and says, "Then why? If there are no monsters inside the gate, then why aren't we attacking Korea? And why haven't we been able to take control of it yet?" And here we see, oh man, it's that bald guy named Rizaki. So here, the hunter apologizes to him and says, "Sorry, sir, don't worry, I'll handle this matter myself." Then the minister says, "Oh, really? And just how exactly are you planning to do that?" So here, the hunter says, "There's no need for you to worry. I'll solve this matter in my own way." Now here we see that this is another one of Japan's top hunters, and his name is Ikusai Kagero. Now we see that Ikusai hasn't come alone. There's also a girl with him whom he tells, "Go and get my sword ready for the fight." So here the girl asks, "Sir, are you going alone?" Ikusai replies, "Yes, of course. Do you have any doubts?" Here, the girl, a bit nervous, says, "Sir, as you know, all the previous members who went there were elites, and there's still no news of them. So you still want to go alone?" He replies, "Yes, I don't need anyone. What do you think?" After this, we are shown a scene back in Korea where the portal is still open just as it was before. This is where the previous hunters tried to infiltrate and all of them were killed. But this time Ikusai himself comes here to attack. But here, after looking around at everything, he gets a bit nervous, wondering what exactly is going on here. Now, as he is observing all this, some monsters attack him and he says, "What? These bastards still aren't dead yet." And what do we see here? He kills all of them with his sword almost lovingly and then moves forward. But as he moves ahead, he stops for a moment and is shocked to see that Kang is sitting very calmly on top of the corpses of all those elite members as if he was waiting just for him. But here Ikusai gets a bit nervous seeing all of this. But then he also gets angry, wondering how Kang dared to kill his elite members and sit on top of them. So without thinking twice, he starts attacking Kang with his sword. But no, our Kang is certainly no pushover either. So Kang suddenly stops the sharp blade with his bare hand, and seeing that his powerful sword has been stopped so easily, everyone watching is completely shocked. But right here, Kang starts his fierce counterattack against him. But Ikusai also manages to dodge his sword. But in his mind, he's wondering how exactly Kang managed to stop his sword. But then he says, "No problem." After that, he punches him hard in the chest. He has a special ability called Moon. Here, he uses his first Moon ability, which sends Kang flying a great distance, and at the same time, Kang's body takes a lot of damage. Here, he says, "Now that's enough, just stop, kid," and then he starts using his second Moon ability as well. Because of this, he keeps getting counterattacked again and again. He doesn't even get a moment to catch his breath here. At this point, he has already taken a lot of damage. Here, he says, "Kid, this skeleton of yours won't be able to save you." Even after saying this, he doesn't stop at all. After this, he also uses his third ability, which is called Third Moon. But here we see that this time Kang manages to dodge his ability and starts counterattacking him instead. Seeing this, he is shocked again. How did he block it once more? But here Ikusai is just a bit faster than Kang. He is so much faster that when Kang reaches his hand toward Ikusai's neck, Ikusai easily slices it off and says that his sword can even cut through diamond. Then we see him swing his sword again, and in that very moment, he also cuts off Kang's head, saying, "What is this? How did he die so easily?" After this, we see Kang's head lying to one side and his eyes have turned completely white. Now everyone thinks that he is dead, but that's not the case. At this point, we are shown some memories from his childhood where his father appears. Now here, young Kang and his mother are waiting for his father to come home on the other side, and he says that his father was always a very busy person. But even after being so busy, he was still very cool and friendly. Now here it is shown that Kang is running across the street to meet him, and he says that no matter how he was, I liked him a lot. Now here it is shown that as the two are about to meet, a bus comes from behind and they are about to have an accident. Kang's father pushes him to the side of the road to save him, but in doing so he himself ends up under the bus, and right in front of Kang, his father dies. And here he says that no matter what, my father's death happened because of me. After my father's death, the business he had was also lost from our hands, and after that, we had to live our whole lives in poverty. Here, my mother's lovely hands became completely ruined from working so hard because of our poverty. And here, whenever I asked her, "Mom, are you okay?" she would just smile and say, "Yes, son, I'm fine." But I could see her sorrow, I could see her pain. That's why every night I would think about how all of this happened because of me, that my father's death was because of me. Here I would just keep crying, thinking about all of this, just crying and crying, and here they show that he is so deeply shocked that he can't even see his mother's pain and is about to cut his own hand. But then suddenly a door opens and the sound of a plate falling comes from there. Here we see that it's his mother who catches Kang doing something wrong, and Kang says to his mother, "Mom, I think I've awakened." Because here we see that where he had cut his hand, it regenerates again. Here we see that there's also an ad playing on TV where a hunter is being interviewed. As soon as Kong hears this, he clings to his mother and says, "Mom, I will also become a hunter, and as a hunter, I will always keep you happy." But here, the situation is quite different. Thinking about all this, Kong is filled with life again. Here, he wakes up again, and we see that the same memories come before him where the girl says that Japan has some extremely dangerous hunters. A light bulb goes off in his mind. Could it be that Ikosai is also one of those hunters, someone who could be extremely powerful here? Now, Ikosai is celebrating his victory and saying that he wasted too much time on this for no reason. But he has no idea that Kang has already regenerated here. Kang is quietly leaving for Korea so that he can attack everyone else. But here, only a small part of Kong regenerates and it slowly starts moving toward his leg. Now they show us here, this Ikosai suddenly shouts out very loudly. Then he bends down low and bites down on Kang's leg extremely hard. Now, this scene becomes even more terrifying when right in front of Ikosai's eyes, Kang starts regenerating, which is a truly horrifying sight. And what's even worse is that the spot where Kang was bitten hurts so much that he starts screaming loudly in pain. Now here he gets even angrier and once again uses his dangerous moon ability. But this particular moon ability is a bit more different and dangerous than the other moon abilities. This time he completely traps Kang in the vortex of his ability and somehow his speed increases tremendously from this point on. His speed keeps increasing and many of his shadows start circling around Kang. Kang can't understand anything. And here we see that all of his shadows start attacking Kang. Kang has no idea what's happening to him. This is his 12th moon technique, which is incredibly dangerous. Here, all of his various forms attack Kang simultaneously. They attack him so much that they tear him into tiny pieces. Now we see here that a portal opens up. Here, Kang tries to escape from there. Until now, the portal here was completely calm, but suddenly, a lot of war-on-war ability powers start emerging from it. So many that even the mountain here gets shattered. The mountain here just keeps breaking apart. Along with that, the portal itself also gets shattered from the inside. Now we see that Ikosai is leaving from here because he thinks Kang is dead. But here one of his legs is broken, which was actually broken by Kang. That's why he walks with a limp and says that he never thought something like this would happen to his leg today. Now we see here that as he is leaving, his other leg is also attacked. Now here, Ekosai gets a bit scared because he realizes that Kang is not dead, so he turns around to look. And what does he see? Kang is in a very dangerous, agonizing state, to the point where we can barely even look at him. And it's so intense that Kang starts chasing after him. Here, Ekosai is completely shaken after seeing Kang's appearance and starts screaming out of fear, but then he gathers some courage and grabs a sword in his hand to fight Kang. He puts all his strength into trying to kill him. Now here we are shown that on the Japan side, the Prime Minister of Japan, that girl, and some elite members are waiting here. But here the elite members are in a very bad mood. They say that since Ekosai has already gone into this portal, why have we been called here for no reason? But here that bald guy is saying that it's been a full 3 days since he went in, and he still hasn't come back. That's why we need to go in there and check. He's just saying this when suddenly Ekosai's severed head falls right at his feet, and from that same portal a terrifying foot appears. We find out that this is our Kang, who has come back here to Japan to wreak havoc on everyone. And yes, this time he comes back fully regenerated, which shocks the bald guy. He gets extremely angry and starts shouting loudly. But Kang doesn't let him shout for long and cuts off his head right there. Meanwhile, on the other side in Korea, we are shown the office of the head of Korea's Hunter Association, where the manager of the hunters is talking to him and informs him that Kang has killed Ikosai. If Kang gets caught here, it will be very bad for both us and Kang. Everything was fine up to this point, but why did you send him to Japan in the end? At first, she stands there silently, then she asks, "Are you afraid of this?" Just imagine, what if he goes there and kills their number one hunter? Now here, we are shown that the bald guy's head gets reattached, and as soon as it does, oh my goodness. The devastating punch that Kang throws in this scene is incredibly powerful, as you can clearly see in the image provided here. It is so remarkably forceful that Kang himself can't even manage to get back up on his feet again after the impact. After this, we're shown this bald guy whose name is Ryozaki. Being the Prime Minister of Japan, he is also Japan's #1 hunter with an SS rank. Now, we see that Kong is still lying there, and this time it seems Kong has messed with the wrong person. Oh, my brother, I can see that you're really enjoying watching this episode, but still you haven't liked or subscribed yet because you think you can only support big YouTubers. Brother, try supporting me as well. See, I bring all kinds of stories for all of you. Anyway, just subscribe and like, and we won't set any target for this video. I want to see how much you support me. Let's continue with our story. As you all know, when the gates opened, not only monsters but also heroes came through. But that's only half the truth, because not all those who came were heroes. Half of them were also called villains, and that's because they were extremely dangerous. Now, to protect themselves from all these things, the countries tried to join forces and attack these villains, but even together, they couldn't do anything to them. On the contrary, the countries that attacked them ended up being destroyed themselves. Seeing all this, some hunters took notice and, together with all the countries, signed an agreement so that none of this could happen again. But this agreement was not acceptable to everyone. Yes, it wasn't acceptable to everyone, and together they attacked the country and took control of it. One of those countries is Japan. Yes, this is the same country whose prime minister is so dangerous that last time he defeated Kang with a single wrestling move. Now, this prime minister, whose name is Ryuzaki, wasn't always this powerful. He became extremely powerful after he took control of Japan. In his arrogance, he thought he could also take over South Korea and China. But standing in the way of his ambitions was a very strong wall. As you and I already know, that wall is our Kang, who stands before him like a solid rock, ready to fight him and expose his intentions. You and I both know just how dangerous her regeneration power is. Even her followers witness this power and say, wow, what a terrifying power. After this, those followers start attacking him. They think he's an easy target and they'll take him down, but our Kang is seriously OP. He grabbed one of them by the jaw and beat him up so badly it was hard to even watch. And here, everyone is standing around as if they've come to Kang's wedding. Here, his followers start trembling with fear. They're like, what just happened? But here, Ryuzaki gets angry and says, you bastard! If anyone moves forward without my permission, I'll kill you before I kill him. And after hearing this, his followers quietly go and stand in a corner. And now, facing each other are Kang, and on the other side, the Prime Minister named Ryuzaki, who is extremely angry. In the middle of this fight, we are shown some old memories where it's winter time. My child is sitting by the side of the road. Here, our Prime Minister Ryuzaki goes up to him, asks his name, and says, why are you here after all? He notices that it's extremely cold here, and he himself is also feeling very cold. Because of this, Ryuzaki takes him home with him, and while they're on the way, he asks the child, by the way, what's your name? And brother, we find out that this child is the same one from the moon whose name is Gogyu and whom Kang had beaten up just a few days ago. Because of this, Ryuzaki becomes absolutely furious. And here, Kang is thinking to himself, man, what a big mistake I made today by messing with him. Looks like today is definitely the day I die. And with that, Kang gets a thorough beating, and that too with homemade waste wash. Here we see that Kang falls down with just one throw. His eyes look so bad it seems like they're about to pop out, and with those very eyes, he witnesses his own death. Here we see that Ryuzaki becomes extremely overpowered. There's lava everywhere. Seeing this, even his followers say, oh brother, what was that? And we see that here Kang is almost completely wiped out, which brings a sense of relief to the Prime Minister as well. And he calms down a bit because there was lava everywhere and Kang's bones were lying in it. Now here, Ryuzaki thinks that Kang has been finished off, so he's about to leave, but Kang's regeneration power is on a whole different level. Somehow Kang comes back to life, which shocks Ryuzaki as well. Now we see that in the middle of the fight, some old memories are shown again, where there's a pile of dead bodies lying around. We see that this incident was carried out by both of them together, where one of them says, please forgive me. Kaguru also says, it's because of this reason that you have to do all this. But here he says that the good thing is that together the two of us have taken over Japan. Now it's China's and Korea's turn. We see that Kaguru's hand is badly injured and he is wrapping a bandage around it while saying, don't you think you shouldn't do this anymore? Who knows, next time you might even die, given the way you're getting injured. So here Kaguru says, it's okay. You were the one who picked me up from the street and took me with you. That's why I could even give my life for you. But in return, I just want one small thing. And that is from today, can I call you Papa? At first, Rizaki stays silent, which makes Kaguru nervous, wondering why he's not saying anything. But then, as soon as Rizaki opens his mouth, he says, "What's there to ask about this? You are my son, after all." After this, we see that lava starts flowing everywhere, which scares his followers as they wonder what's happening. One of the girls steps out and creates a layer of ice so that the lava can't reach them. Here we see that it's not Rizaki himself, but his anger, which is shining intensely like a sun, and his rage is spreading lava everywhere. Standing in front of him is Kang. Even he is not afraid. He stands ready to fight bravely against him. There, Rizaki angrily says, the one whose skull is upside down. He says, "Every part of my body, every single cell, every single particle is burning with the desire to kill you, you slacker." This scene is extremely intense as well. So, what does Rizaki do here? He unleashes all his power, which is like lava, pouring it down on Kang. But Kang, no, even the skeleton of his bones regenerates and with cunning moves toward Rizaki to attack him. But here, Rizaki realizes that Kang is about to pull a trick and once again he gets outsmarted. Here, the scene looks as if it's not a person, but a volcano erupting onto Kang. Seeing this scene, his followers tuck their tails and run down below to save their own lives. And here, the city itself seems to be weeping tears of blood. It feels as if there is nothing but blood everywhere. And we see that finally, Rizaki's anger subsides. But that's not actually the case. Here, Kang is seen melting in the lava. Rizaki had set a trap. She created a pit for him and threw Kang into it. And here he isn't even able to regenerate because he keeps melting again and again in the lava of his own rage. In this moment, he screams out in pain and starts calling out, "Hanmei!" She is the same girl who sent him here. Now we see that Rizaki realizes that killing Kang is impossible because he has the power of regeneration. So he calls one of his disciples. She is the same one who can create a wall of ice, and he tells her to create a layer of ice here so that Kang can't come up from below. Here the girl does exactly that, and as Rizaki is leaving, he gives her an order that no matter what happens, this ice must not be removed. As a result, Kang remains trapped under the ice and keeps melting repeatedly, preventing him from regenerating. And right here, we can see that his plan is actually working quite well. After this, we are shown a building in South Korea, which is the Kyung Guild building. Here we see a girl healing a guy with her powers, and this guy is the same one, yes, the same one, whom Kong had killed along with his 3 companions for treating his mother that way. And we see that he recovers and his eyes also open. Meanwhile, on the other side, we see that Risaki becomes very troubled by Kang, and because of this, he tells his companions that only the essential people should stay here and everyone else should go home. And meanwhile, Kang starts to move and his hand begins to twitch. Because of this, he starts breaking the ice, but actually, he breaks the ice like this because he is struggling a lot in the lava and his hand is moving due to the pain. We see that here he breaks a bit more of the ice and the lava starts to flow in. At this point, we see that his hand recovers and he comes up onto the ice. Here he tries to climb up, but what happens is that he falls back inside and we see him punch the ice to break it. But here, the pressure of the lava is so intense that his bone breaks inside, which causes him excruciating pain. We see that here he says that lava is extremely painful. After this, he tries again and attempts to get on top of the lava. Here, somehow, he manages to place one foot on it. At the same time, since one of his arms is already broken, he tries to pull himself up using his mouth. Here the girl sees him and is shocked, wondering how this is even possible. And we see that our dangerous hero has managed to get halfway onto the ice. At this point, there is no flesh left on his face at all. He looks extremely grotesque and he says that lava is very painful. Now let's see if you can escape. So seeing the situation, Rizaki understands everything and here he tells his wife Hanami, "Haname, take the other hunters and go hide somewhere safe because things have gotten really bad." Wataki si desen sa. Here, Haname looks back and sees that Kang has gone completely crazy, ready to fight. Now Rizaki jumps down to face King head on and once again transforms into his old form. Seeing all this, Haname gets very scared and recalls some old memories where we are once again shown the guild building. There, Hanami comes to Rizaki and asks, "Rizaki, why are you doing all this?" "You're doing way too much. Because the magma inside you is something you just can't control since it's so extremely hot. You just don't have that much potential inside you." So here, Rizaki replies to her, saying that among the 4 biggest nations, USA, Japan, China, and Russia, Japan was the biggest, and we managed to bring Japan under control. But if we don't take control of South Korea, we have no chance of surviving. At this point, Hanami comes in and grabs his hand, saying that in the midst of all this, many of our hunters will be killed. But here, Rizaki says that he still wants to fight, even if it means his whole life gets ruined. After that, we're shown the present scene again, where Rizaki is fighting and says that he can save his country himself. And we see that Kang is getting seriously beaten up. Rizaki shows no mercy to him, and the fight is absolutely relentless. But Kang wasn't about to give up either. He stands his ground in front of him, even if he's getting beaten up. We see that Rizaki uses the same old trick again, where he digs a pit and fills it with lava. After that, we're shown his companions who are standing on the side. Here, Rizaki's wife goes to them and says that Rizaki has ordered us to go hide somewhere safe. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stay here with him and protect him. You go and hide. But as soon as she finishes speaking, all they can say in response is sorry. They say that they can't do that. Forgive us because Rizaki has helped us a lot. That's why it's time for us to save him. This is our time to do something for him. With that, they all get ready to save him and leave. We see here what is the need to save him, brother? Because here he's already in a very dangerous mood and the fight is going on in full swing. We see that all the people standing there are just standing on the side, simply watching the spectacle. Helping is out of the question. Here, from below, Rizaki sees them and wonders, what's this? Why have they come back after all? I had already sent them away. But taking advantage of this situation, Kong gets a chance to escape and he runs away from there. But he doesn't run away, he's actually running towards them. At first, no one understands why he's coming up to them. But as soon as Rizaki realizes that he's coming towards his wife and his companions, he gets angry, and we see that Kong does something really terrible. He grabs his wife and starts pushing her down. At that moment, his wife is unable to control her powers, and even though it was by mistake, she ends up freezing Kang halfway in the ice. Seeing this, Rizaki becomes extremely angry, wondering why on earth he did such a thing. We see that all of his companions jump into the lava to save their miss. We see that Rizaki is now completely confused, not knowing what he should do next or what decision to make. So we see that on one side is his wife, and on the other side is Kong. Here, we see that Rizaki, instead of prioritizing his fight, considered saving his wife's life more important. He cuts off Kang's hand and manages to save his wife. But this is exactly what Kang was waiting for, that he would try to save his wife and Kang would get a chance to kill him. Yes, Kang did something really despicable here. He slit Rizaki's throat from behind, which was an absolutely outrageous act. After this, we see that none of his companions are able to save him, and his wife had risked everything to save Rizaki. Here, all the companions seem to be just hanging in the air, and as for Kang, everyone together has torn him to pieces. Now they come up to her and say, Miss, are you okay? Are you hurt anywhere? But brother, why are you even asking her? Because right in front of her eyes lies her husband's corpse, which you could say is half dead and half alive since half of him is buried in the snow. At that moment, his wife is so shocked that she's in such a state of trauma she can't even cry. But here, everyone's expressions suddenly change, because the one who caused all this chaos, the monster named Kang, now stands up again. No one knows how he regenerates so quickly. Seeing this, his wife realizes that her final moments have come because death itself is standing right before her eyes. Now here, before dying, she wants to recall some of her old memories where Rizaki and she had some really good moments. What can I even tell you? There, she says that she had a terrible nightmare. But Rizaki tells her, it's okay, I'm here with you. And well, something happens between the two of them. But what happens here, brother, is that in the present, her corpse is lying right in front of him. And with this, his wife's story also comes to an end. You could say that now bodies are scattered everywhere, and in this way he becomes the god of death. We see, what's this? His wife isn't completely dead. She's still somewhat alive, so to keep herself alive with him, she freezes herself in the ice as well. And with that, the pair of swans become frozen together, staying with each other forever, right there among the corpses. Now Kang truly becomes extremely overpowered because he has killed Japan's #1 hunter. After this, we see that Kang had unleashed destruction on a whole different level. Now, quietly, Korea slips away from there through the same door. After that, we're shown a building in South Korea where we see a huge pile of mana. Yes, the power source in front of which stands that same white-haired guy who did terrible things with Kang's mom. Now his assistant says, Sir, we were only able to save you because you were the only one who could observe mana. Your friends couldn't do it, so their lives couldn't be saved? So we also find out that his friends didn't survive. Here, his life is saved, but his assistant asks, "Sir, then why are you doing all this?" He replies that when he was young, he played some games in his youth which made someone angry enough to try to attack and kill him, and here we get to see that. Here he says that now he won't let them go. After this, as soon as he removes the sheet, we see that the mana gets on his hand and there are some strange signs on his back. Actually, these are not normal signs. These are signs that control his powers, which he has had since childhood, and from this we also learn that when he was fighting Kang, he wasn't using his full powers. Yes, he was only fighting with his sealed power. Here we are now shown a scene from South Korea where there is a building called Kyungkang, which is a guild. Inside it, there is their vice president, a woman. This woman is the same one who broke the seal of the white haired guy. After the seal was broken, that guy called a meeting of all his members, which included more than 1,500 members. There, their president steps forward and says, "My master, please command us. How can we serve you?" By the way, that monster named Kang has just killed Japan's SS rank hunter and is returning to Korea through the gate. So his master asks him, "What have you all been doing until now? Why didn't you kill him?" After that, their president steps forward and, filled with enthusiasm, takes an oath. "We are the intelligence team of the Kang Guild, and we swear that as long as we breathe, we will keep searching for him and will kill him." But what's this? Just as he is taking the oath, his master suddenly slits his throat right in front of his other companions, and they don't even realize it at first. Here, his master starts laughing like a madman, and his companions begin to get scared seeing this. What on earth has happened to the master? At this point, his master says, "First of all, this guy was the vice president of our guild, and 3 years ago I observed this guild and realized that he was the only one who could single-handedly dominate all of Korea, meaning after me, he was the most powerful." Here, we see the three friends standing in the back. He grabs one of them and starts twisting him in the middle. He twists him so much that his body is torn apart as if someone had put him in a blender. Now, we are shown a scene from a little earlier where their vice commander is breaking the seal of their commander, meaning the one with white hair. There, she tells him that his ability is actually a curse. And here we see that this hungry man had become so obsessed with power that he wasn't even considering his own companions. And he says, "Does anyone among you want to become my assistant?" After that, he starts attacking the remaining companions who are standing there as well. Seeing this, all the more than 1,500 members start fleeing from the guild. But unfortunately, no one is able to escape here. This man becomes so deranged that he kills everyone one by one. Here, even their vice president doesn't say anything to him, she just mourns the situation. After that, this deranged man sits on top of the corpses of his own comrades after killing them, and says that since that bastard Kong killed Japan's SS rank hunter, that's not enough for me. I need to become even stronger. That's why I'm going to Russia to kill you, Kang. There, we see that in the dark of night, a portal opens, from which our guy emerges after leaving a trail of Kang's corpses, and he is given quite a grand welcome there. Then we are shown that same building again, which you must surely remember. Just like the girl had promised the guy that she would save his mother with her healing power, that's exactly what she's doing. But this process takes a lot of time and energy. After finishing her work, she comes outside and is extremely exhausted. So much so that she collapses to the ground and blood starts coming out of her mouth. After that, Kang sees her condition and asks her, "Why are you doing so much for me?" At this point, for some reason, the girl grabs the guy's hand. She says, "Just for you so that you can stay alive, Kang." The guy gets embarrassed and quickly pulls his hand away from hers. Here, the girl looks at the guy and says, "Just as I expected, you've become stronger than before." She tells him that when the gates were created 15 years ago, all the gates gradually turned into blood gates as they got older. And when a man named June managed to escape from these gates, everything around the world suddenly changed. All the gates were converted into blood gates. And yes, the power that flows through them is what provides you with strength. Here you can take an example. The green gates are simply for coming and going, while the red gates are for the flow of power. And yes, these can connect anywhere, anytime for the sake of power. And yes, this power is searching for you, and along with it, the power-hungry beasts can also come after you. Here we see that while this conversation is going on, suddenly the red gates open right in the middle of the city and chaos breaks out among the people. And from there, the beasts also start coming in and begin attacking the people. Now here we are shown a scene from the office of the president of South Korea where he has put up shields around his office for protection. There, his boss asks why Kyungkang's build hasn't arrived yet. So here his manager says that she can never come now because someone has completely destroyed her. No one survived. So here their manager asks, "Sir, what should we do now? Should we ask the military for help?" But their leader flatly refuses. He says that the military can't do anything in this situation because hunters are far too powerful. We need to do something else. Anyway, we have other hunters as well. It wasn't just Kyung Kang's building. We see that they actually have some hunters of their own who are fighting outside. Here we are shown a scene of two young men fighting, both of whom are A rank hunters. It's a very low rank. Here we also see his companions, who are also A rank hunters. By the way, for a minute, why does this seem like a copy of Superman to me? Never mind. And there we are shown the other companions who are also A rank. Why does this one look like a copy of Gojo? Even though they are such low rank, they still fight very bravely. Everyone gets killed here, but then a huge problem stands before them. Kang is standing inside watching all of this, and he asks Madam, "Is all this happening because of me?" So Madam tells him, "Yes, you could say that." Let it go. Anyway, what would you want to do in this situation? After this, we see that the huge elephant is moving forward to attack that girl. But here, our guy Kang jumps in between and tears it apart right there. I don't know why he did that. I have no idea. So meanwhile, Kong starts to realize that every time he died inside the gates, the mana would turn him from a human into a demon because there was so much mana there, and as a result, it gave him a dangerous kind of regeneration power. And the gates that have opened here with Blood on Earth are also giving him that dangerous regeneration power, and this cycle will continue until he becomes a complete monster. We also see that Kang has very big dreams. He wants that once his mother gets better, he can live a peaceful life with her. But these monsters in this world don't let him do that. They keep coming back and troubling him again and again. We see that someone is witnessing all these events with their own eyes. He too is not from this world, but rather from those same red gates from where Kang gets mana. And we see that he seems to be from Kang's own kind, but he is nothing like Kang. So here, his captain tells him, "Kang, stop worrying about your mother. We will take her to the bunker and heal her down there. You go down and fight the monsters that are wreaking havoc here. And yes, kill everyone. No one should be left alive." When Kang is fighting them, he realizes that they are all extremely weak. They're just like the ones he has fought before from that red gate. And yes, since they came from that red gate, it's obvious that there won't be too many of them. They'll be limited in resources. So here, Kang kills everyone and no more monsters come through. But instead of a reward, he gets shot from behind, and it's a very powerful shot. We see that this shooting was done by the military camp here. But she comes to save people, but by then it's already too late. There, one of his students says, "Sir, this monster isn't attacking us, but rather the other monsters, so should we attack it?" Then their colonel says, "Yes, take it down. It's a monster because of all these reasons. That's why all of this is happening here." Up to this point, everything was fine, but now the tanks started attacking him, which caused Kang a lot of pain. And yes, along with this, he couldn't see anything anymore, so he wasn't able to defend himself. But suddenly everything becomes completely chaotic. That's when Kang completely loses control and transforms into his full form. After that, Kang leaves his mark everywhere with corpses scattered all around. But instead of being happy about this, he starts crying because he remembers something from his childhood, when he was bullied a lot, and he had a friend, he doesn't remember the name, who used to ask him, "Why do you let yourself get beaten up so much?" To which he would reply, "Because I'm very weak." So at that time, he was his friend. He tells him, "I'm about to punch you. It won't hurt." "Are you crazy or what? No matter how weak you are, you're my friend. How can you just let yourself get beaten up like this?" And because he was weak, his friend left him. But the truth was something else. In reality, he wasn't his friend. Instead, he was gathering all the evidence against him, which was clearly visible as cunning in his eyes. Here, all the evidence that he could regenerate, he had handed over to the police. After that, one night, something happens suddenly and his condition worsens, and it feels like the police themselves have beaten him up badly. No one knows why, maybe because he had handed over the evidence. Here, Kang is sitting beside him crying and asking, "Why did you do this?" And after this, it seems like you can't even use your powers anymore. At this point, his friend smiles and says, "It's okay. There's no need to be so upset about it." Anyway, I was interested in the police. And right then it's revealed to us that the soldier fighting against Kang in the police army is none other than his childhood friend, the one Kang himself killed with his own hands. Which is truly very painful to have to kill your own childhood friend. But Kang doesn't stop here because he carries a huge responsibility on his shoulders to kill the monsters, and he does this relentlessly. After this, we're shown the president's office again, where the president and his manager are watching Kang do all of this from their seats. There, his manager says, "Sir, please don't look at it this way. This is the root cause behind all these climatic changes and the appearance of so many monsters here." But the president replies, "What I don't understand is why they're fighting each other over this. I just can't figure out whether we should kill it or not." This leaves him extremely frustrated, and he has no idea what to do. So he orders his manager, "Go and immediately inform the foreign hunters." Now, we are introduced to our first foreign hunters, who realize that it is Kong who is responsible for the Blood Gates opening. And yes, this is the same guy who single-handedly killed a Korean guild and also the Prime Minister of Japan. And by the way, he's not just some random guy, he's an SS rank hunter, just like the Prime Minister, extremely powerful and the one who killed those people. After that, we are introduced to our second foreign hunter, who is a woman. As soon as she played Kong's video to see what he looks like, she ended up breaking her screen. And yes, she is also an SS rank hunter. Now we are introduced to our third foreign hunter, who is from America. Not Captain America, just from America. Here, his assistant tells him, "Sir, if you leave the fight in the middle like this, then who will finish this battle against those who are attacking us?" Here, we see that quite a few people have come to fight him. So he uses some kind of magic or spell, and suddenly, using his powers, he kills everyone at once. Then, laughing, he says to his assistant, "Hey kid, which people are you talking about? I don't see anyone here who came to fight me." Now here, on the other side, we are shown Kang's story again, that when he used to fight inside the Blood Gates, he neither got anything to eat nor anything to drink. He couldn't even sleep there. He just kept fighting to stay alive. And yes, sometimes he even felt like he was a packet full of mana and everyone was eating him. And whenever he was about to lose consciousness here, two faces would come to his mind which kept him from losing his mental health. The first was the most beloved person in that world, his mother, for whom he was doing all of this, and the second face was that scoundrel because of whom all this was happening and because of whom he was standing here today. And it was because of these two reasons that he found strength and was always ready to fight. Along with this, he also says that he wanted to solve everything, to finally put an end to it all. But there, at the Red Blood Gates, they had become so powerful that I couldn't even control them. Because of this, whenever someone tried to stop them, innocent people lost their lives, including one of his own friends, whom he killed with his own hands. We see that even now, the monsters are not stopping, they are still coming. Because of this, Kang is still fighting. But the twist comes here when someone attacks him from behind and decapitates him. We see that it's the same man from America whom God had gifted with powers, the one who has the power of crystals or something like that. After this, we are shown a bit of his backstory, where we see a small church, and this man is giving a speech to the people inside. But what's this? Suddenly, the doors swing open and monsters start coming in through them. Seeing this, chaos breaks out everywhere. Here, this man doesn't care about his own life and tries to get everyone out of there. But in this attempt, a huge monster appears in front of him to kill him, and is just about to do so. But what's this? We see that the monster itself is killed, and here, this man is no longer just normal because he has now awakened to SS rank. Seeing this, everyone feels as if a god has appeared before them, and they all fold their hands in respect to him. In this accident, a total of 138 people are injured, many of whom are on the verge of dying. Here, he also saves a child, and the video of this is captured and goes viral on the internet the very next day. The whole world starts watching it, and wherever it is seen, people think that he is an SS rank hunter and that he has awakened. Now we have our own hero. And brother, the real twist in the story comes when we find out that our Kang is actually a huge fan of that man and has been since childhood, because he has been watching him on TV as a hero since he was a kid. But when he sees him in his own country, he can't understand what he's doing there. But when he sees that dangerous smile of his, which was absolutely terrifying, he realizes that he's come to kill him. Here he witnesses Kang's regeneration power and understands that defeating Kang is not going to be that easy. So he uses his powers and binds Kang in one place so that Kang can't escape anywhere or use his powers. After that, just as he's about to kill him, Kang suddenly thinks, "Oh right, we can talk too." Then all of a sudden he says to him, "Sir, please don't kill me, I'm a human too." At this point, he stops and, hearing his voice, asks, "Are you human? You can talk?" That's when Kang tells his whole story, how so much happened to him and how he has traveled. After hearing this, the man hugs Kang and says, I'm sorry, so much has happened to you and you only told me now. Here, he asks Kang his name and Kang replies, My name is Kang. At this point, the man says, Do you know why I fight, Kang? I fight so that I can save people's lives. And today I killed some of those very people just so I could save the world. After that, we see this man tear off his shirt and throw it away. Then he says, And I wrote the names of all those dead people on my body so that I can remember and regret. After this, Kang sees all of this. There, he tells Kang, I will help you and kill all the monsters. But the problem is that the energy coming out of your body will spread everywhere and millions and billions of people will die again. So forgive me, but I have to do this. There is no other way. After that, we see this man add Kang's name to the list of the dead. Seeing this, Kang gets scared and an atmosphere of fear is created. Here, we see that he attacks Kang forcefully on the forehead and says to him, Kang, forgive me, but I have to kill you. Now, on the other side, we are shown a building in Korea that was completely covered up to protect it from the monster. Inside, Kang's captain is healing his mother using her SS rank powers. But she is able to see all of this while sitting inside. And yes, her condition had really become very bad because of using her SS rank powers. There, she says, what is all this commotion going on? Now at the same time, we are shown another hunter with SS rank powers. There, she sees all of this and says, this old man was sitting here with so many powers inside him and I had no idea about it until now. At the same time, we see that her soldiers say, that old man has killed all of us. None of us survived. We are just a handful of people left. Please, call us back. But what's this? Suddenly, a voice comes from behind saying, Madam, we will catch some monsters and bring them to you for your destruction. And we see a man walking in, his boots are shown, and when we look up, it's the same white-haired man who had done all those shady things with Kang's mother, and because of whom all of this happened. And he had come here with his assistant. And he tells that lady, Madam, we will catch that monster for you so you can wreak havoc. So here we see that there are 3 people who have come somewhere to kill the Arctic monster. Yes, this is the same monster that the SS rank hunter, the female one, wants to catch. We see that this monster is so huge that everyone looks like tiny kids in front of it. After that, we see Russia's base, which is a military base, not just any normal base. Here we see that destruction has been unleashed everywhere in Russia because the Russian government didn't pay attention to the fact that monsters could also appear. That's why their place ended up in ruins. Because of this, fighting broke out everywhere and explosions started happening. But the Russian military base was simply not capable of defeating such a huge monster, not even with a nuclear bomb. As a result, nothing happened to the monster, but radioactive material spread everywhere, which acted like poison in Russia. This caused filth and chaos everywhere, and monsters spread all over. After that, we see that Russia becomes extremely troubled, and they had lost all their money. Now, in order to recover their money, they went ahead and attacked America. So that was the story so far. After this, we see that the one with the diamond inspects him from head to toe, trying to figure out who this person is who is talking about killing that monster. So she says, oh, come on, you're just a normal S-rank hunter. How are you going to kill it? And most importantly, how did you get in here without my permission? It seems like you want to die at my hands. That's why you just barged in here like this. After this, she uses her powers, causing a very strong gravitational force to act on him, and he starts getting pushed into the ground. When he is getting beaten up by the white-haired ones, he tells her that the reason he's here is because he wants to catch that monster for her. He wants to kill it. And more importantly, he's here because he knows that America has also humiliated her badly, which makes her angry and she starts putting even more pressure on him. But no, this just makes him enjoy it even more. Seeing this, the queen is shocked and she asks, how can someone like you do something like this? Can you really withstand that radioactivity and kill that monster? To this he replies, yes, absolutely. Along with this, we see that he activates his shield and also starts contorting his body. Seeing this, the queen is astonished. She asks, who exactly are you? Oh, never mind. What difference does it make? Let's make a deal. You defeat that monster and I'll give you a full 30% of the reward. So here, he flatly refuses the white-haired ones. He says, no, I don't want 30%. I want a full 50% of its mana stone, no matter what. And yes, along with this, we see that he leaves from there, and as he's leaving, he says, I'm going to defeat that monster, and I'll only come back here once I've beaten it. Now, On the other hand, we're shown the same place again where the SS rank hunter, who is Krishna, was beating up Kang badly. He grabs Kang so forcefully that Kang's powers overload, causing him to disintegrate into tiny particles. But yes, as you all know, our guy can regenerate, so a small part of him was left, which allowed him to fully regenerate. But Kang also knew that he couldn't handle him, so he just stood there quietly and watched. We see that he did something like this and grabbed him so tightly. And yes, his body started breaking down into tiny particles which caused him to completely fall apart. But yes, he managed to survive because a small part of him was left. But here the person in front doesn't know that Kang has already escaped and only his dead body is standing here. He holds onto the corpse and says, "Kang, forgive me, I had to kill you. But don't worry, I will guard your body." Now, in the middle of the fight, we are shown a scene from Kang's past where he says, "My power is that I can reassemble my body piece by piece from just the structure of my bones." But yes, along with this, the pain it causes is unbearable. It's impossible to endure because when it grows, every part of my body starts to tremble from the pain. But yes, it's also true that I gain strength from those two phases. I gain so much strength that the pain I'm enduring from Lucas right now is nothing compared to that. Even if it twists and turns me, shakes every part of my body, it's nothing. And yes, but it's also true that it causes me a lot of pain. Along with that, there are my limits. My limits are simply how much pain I can endure. After this, we are shown a scene from childhood where Kang used to study. There, the guy with white hair comes up to him and asks, "Kang, what are you looking at on your phone?" So Kang replies, "I'm watching videos of my favorite hero, Lucas, of whom I'm a huge fan because he's the best." Then, the guy with white hair says to Kang, "Okay, it's fine that you're his fan and all. Tell me, what power do you have?" So here Kang tells him, "I have the power of regeneration." As soon as he hears this, out of nowhere, some WWE wrestler seems to appear and slams him to the ground. And along with this, we also see that his dirty-looking hand was already like this from before. Along with this, we see that right in front of Kang's eyes, all his past memories come flooding back, which are extremely tragic. He says, "What was my fault after all? Was it just that I loved my own people?" But what's the point now? Because he had to kill his own people with his own hands, which was truly heartbreaking. Here we see that Kang says Lucas is absolutely right. I have no right to live. If I keep living, even more people will die. More people will be killed, and there will be even more sorrow. But why should I even care about dying? I can fight openly. Even if I die, my mother will still live. And we see that Kang's mind completely flips here because he says that if things are going to go on like this, then I should fight openly without worrying about my own life. And with that, Kang's beast mode gets activated, which is honestly quite mind-blowing. Because here he gathers all the Manthi power together from those holes. And here we see that after activating his beast mode, Kang throws a very powerful punch, one that requires a tremendous amount of strength. The power we see comes from those same holes, causing the entire city to turn red. After this punch lands, Lucas is knocked out in a single blow and starts bleeding from his mouth. We witness all of this. All of this is being recorded by Drew, who is broadcasting it to his city. There, his own son watches everything unfold with his own eyes, seeing how his father is getting beaten up. And right here, we see that a building in the city starts to collapse, inside which the captain is treating his mother, trying to heal her. There, her manager comes in and says, "Madam, if you push yourself any further, your chances of survival will be very low." But here, the captain becomes so absorbed in her work that she loses awareness and collapses to the ground. Blood starts coming out of her nose as well. But she says, "Finally, we have succeeded." Her mother has recovered. Her treatment is now done. And finally, the moment we've been waiting for arrives. Her mother's eyes open and she becomes well again, just like before. We see that, on the other side, the man with white hair is watching all of this live. Watching it live and fresh, he says, "So now this bastard is ready to fight Lucas as well. Impressive. Now, if I want to fight him, I'll have to become even more powerful by defeating this monster." Now, we're shown a scene from Kang's side again, where Kang had turned completely red because so much energy was flowing through him. Because of this energy, his beast mode had been activated and his entire appearance had transformed to look like a beast as well. Lucas sees all this happening and says, "How can this be possible?" We see that after the beast mode is activated, a sword also appears in Kang's hand. The sword with which he had torn Lucas to pieces. But no. The Lucas here is also a very good force. He comes right behind Kang. He fools him and using his ability, puts his hand into Kang's head. I don't know what he's doing like this, and we see that Kang doesn't waste any time either. He cuts off his hand. Here too we see that because of all this, Kang doesn't feel any pain at all now, because he had regenerated so much that he could twist his head however he wanted, forward, backward, down, up. Here we see that, on the other hand, Lucas played this clever trick. He snapped his fingers, and the brain inside him was blown to pieces. Here, Lucas tells Kang that now, after gaining this power, he can hear all those voices that kept echoing in his ears from different places. These were the voices of people who were suffering from terrible diseases, pain, and those who kept crying. And yes, along with them were also those people who believed they could be saved from these things. But yes, along with these, I could also hear the voices of those people who represented hope, who represented power. We see this including his son, who is shown praying for hope for his father, as well as those people who want Lucas to win. This was the power of hope, which gave him a whole new level of strength. And yes, now things were even 1-to-1, which gave him a whole new kind of power, even more dangerous than Kang's. After that, with just a slight wave of his hand, Kang is completely crushed in his grasp. But no. Kang is not someone who gets crushed that easily, because now things were even here, 1-to-1. After that, Kang manages to escape from his grasp and starts moving forward to attack him. But here, Lucas stops him with one hand and says, "Is that all you've got?" We then see Lucas make a Christian sign on Kang's forehead. After that, he starts hanging in the air like he's saying, "Amen," and the flesh on his body slowly begins to peel off. Then we see that Kang actually starts enjoying this a lot. No idea how. And along with him, Lucas also starts laughing. Somehow, both of them were enjoying this whole thing. Here we see that Kang comes under Lucas's control. After that, he starts gouging out his own eyes with his own hands. At this point, Lucas has no idea why he's doing this. Here, Kang says, "I don't know, but this feels really fun." And along with this, we see that Kang's body slowly starts to lose all its flesh. At this point, Lucas simply says, "Amen." After that, Kang is torn to shreds. Not a single part of his body is left to regenerate. All of this was possible because Lucas had the power of hope, which he received from the people who cared about him. Meanwhile, on the other side, we see the one with white hair. He is also fighting that monster and is getting beaten up badly. But he thinks to himself and says that if I don't defeat this monster today, I'll never be able to defeat that bastard Kang. That's why I need to become even more powerful. Along with this, today we also get to see a completely different form of this white-haired guy. He also upgrades even further, and yes, he manages to defeat that monster. Now we're shown the scene on Kang's side again. There, at first, everything is completely silent, and all we see is Kang's blood. But what's this? Suddenly, after a moment, the mana stones start crackling with electricity there. And yes, this time, instead of regenerating with his body, he actually regenerates himself using his own blood, which was supposed to be impossible. But Lucas was also prepared for this. He swung his arm, and the building next to Kang came crashing down on him. But all of this is being witnessed. There's a woman standing there, watching. And yes, my friends, this woman is none other than Kang's mother, for whom he had been doing all this for so long, enduring so much pain. That's when his mother comes and says, "Kang, is that you, my son?" So if you've enjoyed the story up to this point, please help us reach the goal of 500 likes so we can bring you the next part soon. And yes, please subscribe as well so you can get the next update. Now, as we know, after Kang's mother recovers, she comes straight downstairs. There, she sees her son buried underground. There, Kang sees his mother healed and tears start to well up in his eyes. But when his mother sees her son in such a state, she goes into shock, and she remembers how, when he was little, he used to sit in the corridor doing strange things. When he awakened, his powers had emerged. So here, his mother quickly hugs him tightly. As you all already know, those who don't know can go and watch the previous story. So here, when his mother hugs him, she gets very scared, because his powers are just that dangerous. And today, the fear his mother had actually comes true. Because Kang, even after dying so many times, is still laughing after seeing his mother fine, which was extremely terrifying. And his mother goes into shock after seeing this and starts to run away from there. But here, Kang grabs his mother's hand. He says, "Mom, please stop." Here, she is in such a hurry that she falls right there. So here, Kang says, "Mom, why all this? Do I look like an animal?" That's why Kang starts tearing the flesh off his own face and throwing it away, which is extremely disgusting. Seeing this, his mother becomes even more terrified and quickly kicks him in the face, saying, "Stay away from me, monster!" At this point, Lucas also gets back up and witnesses all of this with his own eyes. After that, Lucas says, "So, All those stories you were telling about your mother were just lies. But Kang doesn't listen to a single word he says, and, swinging his hand, slits Lucas's throat. We see that after his throat is cut, something filthy and terrifying like an animal emerges from his mouth and goes straight into Kang's mouth. After that, Kang's entire appearance changes. His expressions change, and he starts to look completely pink. We see that Kang is now being controlled by a girl who says, "I really like Kang's body a lot." Anyway, I was already bored of Lucas. We see that there are other people here as well, whom she had badly injured, and she seems to be a bit crazy, because she has put up pictures of Lucas all around and starts making out with them. And the most disgusting part is when she even starts licking his photo. So here, a part of our previous story is revealed. As you might remember, this is the same church where Lucas awakened. But the twist in the story is that he wasn't alone there. This girl was also there, and after that, she cast the same spell on Lucas that she had used on Kang. After that, Lucas came completely under her control, which means that the girl left her own body and made his body her home. And so, Lucas was never really Lucas. He was always that girl in disguise. And now, the girl left Lucas and made Kang's body her new home, because Kang is more powerful than Lucas. And yes, Kang has now been declared more powerful than Lucas. Now, the girl tries to look into Kang's memories a little, but all she sees is complete darkness. There, his mother runs away, leaving Kang behind. Here, Kang just says to his mother, "Mom, please come back. Why did you do this? What was my fault? Was it because my father died because of me? Or is it because my powers have become too strong and I am slowly turning into a monster?" After that, Kang was left completely alone and he gradually broke down. But his mother comes back, calls out his name. But Kang says, "Mom, now it's too late. I'm slowly turning into a monster now. All of this is your fault. Now what should I do?" Kang's mother starts crying loudly and says, "Please forgive me, Kang. This is all my fault. All of this happened because of me." So here, all these memories are being seen by the girl in his memories, and after that, the girl becomes infatuated with Kang and says, "Kang, you are truly amazing." But no, here's where the twist comes in the story as well. Do you really think Kang will let her take control of him so easily? As you probably know, Kang has the power to regenerate, so he tries to regenerate himself. But here's another twist, because this time Kang is not the only one bearing the pain. The girl also experiences the same feeling, the same pain this time. Now, after such a shocking twist hits her gently, she says, "How is this even possible?" Kang endures such intense pain every single second. After that, Kang is fully regenerated and comes out of her mouth. As soon as she comes out, she says, "Kang, wait a minute, listen to me." But Kang is so angry that he doesn't listen to a single word she says and cuts her in half right there. Now, on the other side, we see a very bright light coming out of Lucas's severed body, because the girl has now come out of his body. So Lucas starts getting all his memories back, in which he realizes what he has done so far, how he did it, and why. After seeing all this, he feels a deep sense of regret. Then he remembers that, at the very end, he was fighting the monsters inside the church and praying to God. That's when he was attacked from behind, and after that, he couldn't remember anything. Kang is witnessing all of this with his own eyes, trying to understand what exactly is happening. Right there, Lucas recovers, and this time, he is the real, original Lucas. And yes, along with this, we also find out that he is not just Lucas alone. He has also been given a title, which is God of Heaven. Yes, that's right. He is actually a god, which we only now come to know. After recovering, Lucas tells him, "Kang, I can understand everything you've done to me so far." And then he hugged Kang. Kang still can't figure out what on earth is going on. After this, we see Lucas using his godly powers, and all the bones that Kang had regenerated start falling off like leaves. And finally, Kang is healed, returns to his original form, and becomes human again. Kang wonders how this could even be possible. After that, we see that now that Kang is normal, monsters start attacking him. But Lucas, who is actually a god, is so powerful that with just a snap of his fingers, he tears apart all the monsters. Kang is amazed to see all this with his own eyes, wondering how someone could become so powerful. He thinks, "Thank goodness I didn't attack him, otherwise I would have been finished." After that, we see monsters starting to attack the city. They start coming out of all those holes that had opened because of Kang, since Kang had escaped from there. After seeing this, Lucas takes Kang to a safe place and then flies into the air, beginning to use his godly powers. And here, we finally get to see Lucas's true form, which is that of a god. After that, to stop the attack on the city, he summons his entire army of gods, all of whom arrive riding horses, and right there, an epic battle begins between the two sides, gods versus demons. Now, we see Kang sitting quietly, because he no longer has any powers left. So now he has only two options. Either he goes back to where he came from, or he joins the side of the gods. Here we see that the fight becomes so massive that it starts happening worldwide with great intensity, and to survive this, everyone starts praying for Lucas, hoping that he will win. At the same time, we see that the one with white hair also puts up a shield around himself to protect against its effects. We are shown a bit of Lucas's past story where as he is about to go to church, his son says, "Father, please don't go today. I have a really bad feeling. Something terrible is going to happen to you." But Lucas, his father, says, "Son, there's no need to worry. I also know that something bad is going to happen to me today. But we should always have faith in God." Then Lucas comes to him and says, "Kang, there's no need to be afraid. Something really good is waiting for you ahead. I know that you have endured 10 times more pain than I have, and you are still struggling with it." And after this, Lucas starts crying and says, "I know you did it for your mother, so stay strong and keep holding on." Because Lucas's mother once fell very ill, and she tragically passed away right in front of his very eyes. This heartbreaking experience made Lucas cry so much. He cried so much that his powers increased beyond all limits. So much so that all the demons died just from his tears. Where his son is, he realizes that now his father's final moments have come. So, looking up at the sky, he says goodbye to his father. After that, we see on the other side that the one with white hair has also increased his powers to defeat that huge monster. After that, we see that now he has become extremely powerful, as we already know. The mysterious man with white hair killed that massive monster. After that, we are shown a brief look into his backstory. There, we see that he also had an older brother. There, his brother tells him, "Listen, the stronger you become, the more things you will get from the guild and the stronger you will become." But our boy tells him, "Brother, let me go. I don't want to do any of this. I don't want to kill anyone. Please let me go." But after that, his older brother started weaving a web of words around him. He began to torture him so much that it became unbearable for him, and after enduring so much, any child would give in. That's why the one with white hair also gave in and started misusing his powers, and he even began killing people. And here we see that as he was killing that monster, he was awakening. All of this was being watched by the queen as she sat there. After that, the one with white hair comes back to her. As soon as he arrives, the queen tells him, "Love, give me all of the stone." She says, "As I promised, I will give you half of it." But the one with white hair says, "Not half, all of it." He says, "I have consumed the entire stone by myself." So the queen asks, "Why did you do this after all? Your body won't be able to handle it." And with that, the one with white hair goes to attack her. But the queen is no pushover either. After that, she starts applying gravity on him with just one finger. There she says, "Tell me, why did you do all this after all?" So the one with white hair says, "I did all this because I want to kill someone." And meanwhile, the white-haired one cunningly sent one of his shadows behind her to attack. But the queen figures this out as well. She killed that shadow right then and there. After that, she says, "The thing you just consumed could have made any Russian army 10 times more powerful. But would you like to tell me why you did this after all?" That's when she removes her mask, which looks extremely bizarre. She says, "Don't you think you should have done this for Russia?" After that, we see that the one with white hair uses his powers to create many forms of himself in order to kill the queen. But the queen destroys all those forms at once again. After that, we see that his assistant is in danger. Seeing this, he moves her aside, but the queen starts attacking her as well. So the white-haired one saves her, but while saving her, he starts to lose his mind over how she raised her hand against his assistant. After that, all those memories come back to him, like how he killed his companions at the beginning, and a whole new level of power awakens within him. But the queen doesn't let his powers last long and turns him into Diwali firecrackers and blows him up. Now don't ask me how firecrackers showed up here. Because of these firecrackers, the ceiling above the queen's head disappears. After that, the queen creates a small portal so that the white-haired one can enter it. And exactly what she predicted happens. He starts to go inside it. But at the same time, some of his old memories start to haunt him again. He hides away in a small, secluded place because he is weary from the act of killing people. And he tells his sister that he doesn't want to come out because he is disillusioned by killing people. And his sister says, "Please come back." Meanwhile, we see that the one with white hair, instead of going into the black hole, absorbs powers from it. And immediately after that happens, the guy's incredible powers evolve to the very next level. And he calmly says, "Your Majesty, I am asking you to please die now." Now, seeing her own death approaching, she drifts into her past thoughts. Here, we see the president's office in Russia. This is from the time when monsters attacked Russia. And here we see that the president looks like he's passed out after drinking. Meanwhile, his assistant comes in and says, "Sir, we can kill them even with mana. It's just that one of us will have to awaken." But the old man says that now we can't do anything. "I've already launched all the missiles we had into the sky. Come on, let's all die together now and witness the end of this world." But right then, his assistant, who is actually the Empress herself, rises into the air and awakens. After her powers awaken, she uses them to detonate all the nuclear bombs in the air right there in the sky and then comes back down to the ground. That's when the old man says, "Oh, thank God, we are saved." Now the Empress is so furious that she says, "I can understand, President." But then we see their family photo, which reveals to us that she is actually his daughter. And she says, "Forgive me, Father, but it's time for you to sleep." Now we see that the president of the country where her father had planted the bomb sends a message saying, "What you did was wrong, planting those bombs in our country. Now we will destroy Russia." At that point, the Russian lady says, "Hey, we've already surrendered, so what's the point of fighting now?" And he replies, "Go to hell." Then we see that she also has 2 children who come and hug her. There, she says, "Don't worry, kids, but there's a lot of danger here. But I promise that I will protect both of you." Now we are shown the present scene again, where the queen says, "Yes, I promise my children that I will always protect them. That's why I can never die at the hands of someone like you, Ramkal." But in the end, we all knew what was going to happen. The one with white hair had completely destroyed the Russian madam. After that, the guy leaves the place in his own style. Then we are shown that safe area in Russia where all the Russian members used to stay safe. That's where the caretaker arrives. She tells the children of the deceased madam that she will definitely come back and take care of them. There, her children say that now they have awakened too, and now they can also fight and help their mom. But in the very next moment, we see that the brother standing next to that girl gets killed. And right after that, as we look outside, we see that the entire safe Russian zone gets blown up. And all of this was done by just one man, the one with white hair who had also killed her mom. First, he comes up to that girl but doesn't do anything to her. After that, he quietly leaves from there. But later on, the demon inside him comes out. And just imagine what he will do next. He says, "Never mind," and then kills the girl with his powers as well. After that, we see that Kang wasn't actually dead. He had started regenerating again from his own blood. But what did this man do? He kicked Kang and threw him down. Even in that pain, Kang was calling out only one name, Mom. But this man was so terrifying that he didn't even give Kang a chance to regenerate. He kept killing him over and over again. As soon as Kang started to regenerate, but even in so much pain, Kang kept calling out only one name, and that was Mom. Here, the man says, "Why are you acting like a child when you're a monster?" To which Kang, making a dirty face, replies, "Don't you have a mother?" After that, the man kicked Kang and threw him into some red portal. Now here we see that the scene changes and takes us a little back in time. Here, Kang's mother was still lying unconscious on the bed. But after waiting for a little while, Kang's mother opens her eyes. When she opens her eyes, the first people she sees are not Kang, but his captain and their assistant. So here she asks, "Where am I?" The captain replies, "You are in a completely safe place. This is the Hunter Association's building." But this building doesn't remain safe for long and breaks into 1 or 2 pieces. And this scene is from the time when the fight between Kang and God was happening and this building was cut in half. Here we see that the captain was taking Kang's mother safely towards the bunker to save her. But in the middle, an accident happens, and this is the scene from the moment when the building collapses in front of her. So the captain ends up ahead, while Kang's mother is left behind. And when we look, it's actually Kang himself under the building, and right in front of him is his mother. And I think by now you must have remembered which scene this is. And yes, honestly, Kang is in a really terrible state here. Seeing this, his mother also gets scared and screams. After that, she couldn't remember anything. Then the scene changes again, and the captain says, "Good morning once again. You had fainted, and we've brought you here safely to the bunker. By the way, how are you feeling?" At this point, Kang's mother tells the captain, No, that strange thing can't possibly be my son." And saying this, she grabs her forehead tightly and starts to panic. But the captain brings a screen and places it in front of her mother. On it is a photo of Kang, and she says, "This is your son, whose name is Kang, and he is now 23 years old. He had an accident while you were unconscious. He went into the Grand Blood Gate. There he fought with many monsters, and while fighting them, he himself became one." But after hearing all this, Kang's mother becomes even more anxious. But the captain holds her hand and says that her son did a great deed by preventing the Blood Red Gate from breaking open. And now he is fighting the world's greatest fighter all alone. And do you know why he is doing all this despite everything? Just to save you. He made a deal with me where I would save you and he would save the world. After that, on the screen in front of Kang's mother, she can see how the new hunter is beating Kang, how he is attacking him. And yet he keeps shouting, "Mom, Mom!" She was able to see all of this with her own eyes. After that, we see that both the atmosphere and the scene of our story change. And from there, we are shown the moment where this SS rank hunter is attacking Kang and saying, "What are you doing? Acting like a child." So here Kang says, "Don't you have a mother?" After that, the SS rank hunter throws him back into the Red Blood Gate. Now, when Kang enters the Red Blood Gate, we are shown a brief scene from his past. There he finds himself transported to the past, and where does he end up? In his own home. Seeing this, he's a bit surprised and says, "Am I really in my own home? Am I back in the old days again?" Then he sees his mother standing in front of him, and he calls out to her from behind and starts moving towards her. But as soon as his mother turns around, the same skeleton is stuck to her face as the one that was once attached to him. Now we see that he has regained consciousness inside this portal. Actually, this was a scene from his past, and he had lost consciousness after entering the portal. Now that this link has appeared, we will find out whether Kang will make a comeback or not. Here we see that he is in a lot of pain again, and different marks start appearing on his body. This time, we are once again shown a scene from Kang's past. But this time, Kang doesn't go into his past by losing consciousness. Instead, Kang himself closes his eyes and recalls some old memories. Here, we see him asking, "Mom, are you okay?" So his mother says, "Yes, there's no need to worry about me. I'm absolutely fine, son." Then he asks, "Mom, why did you run away from me when you saw me after so many years? Did you run away because my dad died because of me?" At that moment, his mother calls out his name loudly and tells him to be quiet. She says, "Just keep smiling quietly and don't worry." Remembering all these things brings a new kind of energy inside him, a strength to endure all these things again, just like he endured it before when he was regenerating. A different kind of power emerges within him. His body slowly starts to regenerate. The inner powers he had begin to return. And our fallen hero, after regaining his powers, makes a comeback. After that, we see that the SS rank hunter, thinking Kang is dead, starts to leave from there. But from behind, Kang comes at lightning speed and crushes him under his feet. But this time, after coming out of the portal, Kang is totally different from the previous Kang. Because this time, after coming out of the portal, he is neither screaming in pain, nor crying, nor begging. This time, he laughs his devilish laugh and says, "What is this? I've once again become the same monster who kills people. When everything had become normal like before and I was going to meet my mother, why did you come in between and do all this? Why did you make me like this again?" Seeing this, even the SS rank hunter gets scared and gives Kang a powerful kick, sending him flying backwards. Because of this, we see that both of their behaviors change. Actually, this guy is an SS rank hunter who has come from China. Over there, only these people hold power and no one dares to go up against them, because these people had even defeated America. Here we are shown a scene of their quarters. There, their servant asks, "Ma'am, should we help them in their fight against that monster?" Here, we see that this madam is none other than the sister of that SSS rank hunter, and she is the number 2 rank hunter in China. And she says, "What do you think? Is my brother that weak? He alone will defeat all of them?" Because not alone, China had raised the largest and fastest army among all to fight the other hunters and take control of China. Because once, when the 5 criminals were not under the control of any nation and had escaped from there, because they were all SSS rank hunters, they even had a leader, and all of them came together to fight me and my brother. But their plans didn't last long, and their entire army was wiped out. And you all must remember, this is the same scene where we are shown the first scene of China. The surprising thing here is that all this chaos was caused by just 2 people. Here, his brother kept killing everyone, while his sister kept bringing them back to life so she could turn them into slaves and grow her army. There, she asks, "Are we really going to take over China like this?" And her brother replies, "Yes, absolutely, my sister." We see that by doing this, they expanded their army to millions and it became the largest army in China. Behind all of them, it was the work of just one man. That was her brother, who was the mastermind behind everything. But what's the use of having such dangerous powers? We see that he can't stand up to Kang for long. And Kang, with his deadly claws, breaks his weapon and says to him, "Are you enjoying yourself now?" Here we see that the eyes of the SSS rank hunter were slowly closing. Here we see that Kang had actually sliced him into 2 pieces. But the twist is that he survived and tries to counterattack. Not only does he attack Kang, but he also ends up shattering the building next to him into pieces. Now the hunter from China answers the question Kang had asked. Kang had asked him if he was enjoying the fight. So he says, yes, I'm really enjoying it a lot. At the same time, we see that nothing happens to Kang from behind, and he also comes to answer the question saying, yes, I'm really enjoying it too, and with that, he lands a very impactful blow. This blow is so powerful that all the surrounding buildings are destroyed. Even after taking such a powerful blow, nothing happens to him, and he grabs Kang's hand and their fight continues right in the air. They don't even give each other a chance to come down. Here, the hunter from China tells Kang that he wanted to fight a powerful opponent, but he didn't know that his powerful opponent would not be anyone else, but a demon. But you're just an ordinary human, and he comes close to him and whispers in his ear that he can sense his mind, and he's certain that Kang isn't human but a demon. So Kang says, so what? With that, Kang uses one of his tricks. He turns his face towards him and tries to absorb him. But his technique doesn't work and nothing happens to that Chinese hunter. At this point, the hunter tells Kang that the interesting thing is, he hasn't even fought him at full power yet. He says, you're definitely protecting someone else and monsters never protect anyone else during a fight. The truth is, Kang hadn't actually fought at his full power until now. He was actually protecting his mother because the building he had destroyed was right next to the one where his mother was, and he knew this very well. That's why he was protecting his mother and hadn't yet fought at his full power. And the hunter figured this out because he knew that Kang had already defeated 2 gods before, so there was no way he could be this weak. Here, when they show Kang's face, it's so grotesque and disturbing because there's a dagger stuck in one of his eyes, and even then he laughs and says, yes, my mom is there, the one who left me alone and ran away from here. But yes, I still love her very much. So then the hunter replies to him saying, there must be a long story behind this. After this, we are shown some of his blurry memories, and he starts to share a bit of his backstory. He says, my sister and I grew up together, but there is nothing the same between us. But yes, there has always been one thing in common between us, and that is the hunger to fight anyone. We are always ready to fight, no matter who it is. Besides, if you are strong, then come and fight me. And with that, Kang also accepts his challenge and lands a powerful punch on him. We see that here a twist comes in. As soon as he puts his weapon forward, Kang's punch lands on the weapon and the weapon starts screaming. We see that with this, an intense battle breaks out between the two. Here, the Chinese hunter says that he is really enjoying this a lot. Kang also replies to him saying, yes, honestly, I'm really enjoying this a lot too. And as they keep fighting each other, every time his blows land on the weapon screams just like a human. And then Kang is about to land a powerful punch on him, but the Chinese hunter puts his weapon in front of him. At that moment, his weapon screams like a human and says, someone please save me. But Kang doesn't stop and splits the weapon into 2 pieces. And we see that when the weapon breaks here, it splits into 2 pieces like a human, and it even starts to bleed. But we see that this hunter still hasn't run out of weapons, and he pulls out more weapons to fight Kang. At the same time, we're shown a really disturbing scene because that weapon has human-like eyes. It ends up in Kang's hand. That's when we realize this was no ordinary weapon. It was made from the pile of corpses of hunters, and it wasn't made by anyone else but the Chinese hunter's own blacksmith, crafted especially for this special battle. But what's surprising is that Kang had never even killed a fly in his entire life, and even after hearing all this, he doesn't hesitate at all. In fact, even more dangerous feelings start to arise within him, and he says, that's something else. So you've enjoyed the video up to this point. Now take a look at this too. Enjoy this as well. I mean, come on guys, aren't you supporting, aren't you sharing, aren't you liking? I mean, I've gone crazy making videos for you and you guys don't even support me. Does that mean you can only support big YouTubers? Come on, show some support to your brother too, guys. Here, we're just aiming for 500 likes, so go ahead and do it quickly. Let's see how much support we actually get. Now here we see that Kang also moves forward to attack him. But the Chinese hunter strikes him with a powerful blow that cuts through Kang's body. But as you know, his regeneration is incredibly fast. Within moments, he regenerates himself again. And we see that after that, Kang also lands a powerful blow on him, sending him crashing straight into the wall. Right next to him, an old man appears. Actually, this isn't just any ordinary old man. He's the same old man who makes all sorts of weapons for him to use in battle. This time, he came here to make a powerful weapon for him to fight against Kang, and that's exactly what he did. To make that weapon, he gathered the corpses of a total of 40 hunters and got to work. Now, to create a great weapon, we see that meanwhile, the 2 of them are still fighting in the background. And what's more, the old man who was hitting with the hammer wasn't using an ordinary hammer. It was a hammer made from his own skin. We see that he is brutally beating all these corpses to make weapons out of them. Meanwhile, the corpses are still screaming, "Someone save us!" And we see that after doing some hard labor for a while, he finally manages to make the weapon with which they can defeat Kang. In fact, he was calling this piece of junk a masterpiece to defeat Kang. We see that this old man brings it and hands over the weapon to him. Here, this man thanks him, and we see that Kang was truly facing a huge dilemma because this really was his masterpiece. Here, he attacks Kang and causes him significant damage. But the problem here was that all these bodies were dead, neither alive nor dead, and all of them were calling out to someone they knew. But inside Kang, it was as if his heart had already died, because instead of feeling pity for them, he grabs all of them and kills them with his own hands and then starts laughing loudly at them, saying that he really enjoys killing these family members. And he says that all the people who were killed by the monsters were all fools who gathered in the same place. And he says that it doesn't matter to him because he has killed many like them before. And here the hunter is thinking that he has defeated Kang very easily. But we see that nothing like that happens. Kang had killed all of them very easily, and he says that they were really easy peasy. At this point, the hunter from China has another hidden weapon, which he brings out in front of Kang, and he says that he has been keeping an eye on Korea for the past 5 years, and he knows what's happening here and how to fight him. "I know everything." Now the sword that is placed in front of him doesn't belong to anyone else, but to his childhood friend. Seeing it, Kang also remembers that it's not just anyone's, but it's made from the skin of his childhood friend, whom he had mercilessly killed during that fight. And besides this, Kang also realizes that the eye he was holding earlier wasn't anyone else's, but belonged to this very friend. Now, after seeing all these things, Kang becomes so emotional that he gets lost in his old memories, where his friend used to fight with him a lot and he would argue with him quite a bit as well. But here, the hunter is also extremely cunning. He deliberately used a weapon made from his friend's skin so that Kang would become emotional, and taking advantage of this, he inflicted cuts on Kang's body to make it easier to kill him. And we see that as he is leaving, he says, "Die." And with that, Kang's body is shattered into tiny pieces that scatter in the air. But at the same time, we see that Kang seems to disappear into his hazy memories. There, when he looks around and opens his eyes, he sees his old friend, the one he had killed with his own hands, standing before him. But this time his friend is crying. There he starts crying loudly. But then his friend tells him, "It's totally fine, dude. Honestly, nothing happened at all. You are my very best friend in the world. So there is absolutely no need for you to cry right now." But then he also follows up by asking, "Then why exactly? Why did you feel the need to kill me?" And with that, we are shown the image of his dead face. There, he says, "Despite the fact that I went out of my way to help you, why on earth did you still choose to kill me?" After that, Kang begins to weep even more uncontrollably than before. And all of the agonizing screams from everyone around him begin to resonate and echo painfully within his ears. After that, he begins to go through immense pain. Simultaneously, at that very moment, we see that the image of his mother also manifests itself before him. There, she gives a very sinister smile. This realization makes him feel even more deeply unsettled and profoundly disturbed. So much so that he nearly loses his grip on reality and descends into madness. And he starts violently clawing at his own face with his hands in a desperate state of panic. This causes him a great deal of intense physical pain. But even then, he simply doesn't stop there. And we see that he repeatedly and desperately tries to cut his own head off entirely. And as you already know, his regeneration power is extremely fast. Because of this, he had the ability to continuously regenerate his head within moments, over and over again. This process kept repeating continuously. But the Chinese hunter present there was also enjoying the whole scene instead of stopping him. But what's surprising here is that Kang was also thoroughly enjoying this. But in his eyes there was laughter, thirst, and pain all at the same time. Because of this, no one could understand what exactly was happening to Kang. Then he stands up and we see that in that short time he has cut off and thrown away his own head more than 10,000 times. At that point, he asks the Chinese hunter, "Will you really kill me?" He just asks him a question and then bursts out laughing loudly, his mouth wide open, looking up. Now, we are shown a peaceful scene set in the heart of China. There we see his younger sister sitting comfortably on a wooden chair, saying with a smile, "Brother, I am really enjoying watching your incredible fight right now." At the same time, we see that one of his soldiers brings him some very bad news, that a northern hunter is killing their soldiers in a brutal way. After hearing this, something terrifying starts to emerge from his sister's body. After this, we see that his soldier is torn to pieces, and we realize that the soldier who was speaking is none other than the one with white hair. His assistant is also standing next to him. Now, after this, we are shown a scene from North China. There used to be a very beautiful place there called Black Dragon Castle, which is now destroyed. And it is there that the white-haired man, Jojo, has brought his assistant to show her the place. After this, his assistant also becomes very happy. But at the same time, we see that the white-haired man starts behaving very strangely. It is actually his sister sitting there who is doing all this. In that moment, we clearly see that his girlfriend starts to feel quite a bit scared after witnessing his incredibly strange and erratic behavior. She softly says, "Please stop," and she grabs onto him very tightly, which eventually makes him stop acting in that peculiar way. However, his girlfriend then tells him quite seriously that he really needs to stop this behavior very soon, otherwise it will definitely be very bad for him in the future. And yet, her boyfriend, who is also her boss, simply and flatly refuses to listen to her at all. After that, some of his blurry, faded memories are shown. Yes, you might remember this too. We talked about this in previous videos when Kang was also thinking the same thing, where it's none other than the white-haired guy who goes up to him and asks, "What is your ability?" There, Kang tells him about his ability. But then the white-haired guy viciously attacks and overpowers him without any apparent provocation or reason. And we clearly see that his hand is surging with an immense and mysterious power. After that, he is just about to leave from there. But then, looking from behind, he finally admits his grave mistake and even starts to give a slight, unsettling smile. Seeing this unexpected reaction makes him feel really angry, and he says that this heartless bastard was truly the one who started all of this chaos. And then we see that the scene changes once again, and now we see Kang standing right there, laughing hysterically like a complete madman, where the hunter didn't care about anything at all. Immediately after that, responding to his mocking laughter, the hunter kicks Kang incredibly hard right in the face and starts beating him up quite badly. But Kang is still laughing just like a total madman. Because as you all probably know by now, Kang has finally reached a next-level state of regeneration. This means that it doesn't matter to him at all, whether he is hit only once or repeatedly over and over again. Whether he's killed in a second or a few seconds later, it makes no difference. At that point, we see their fight start up again with full force, and because of this, the entire atmosphere begins to change. Because now, everywhere you look, there are splatters of red blood. And not just anyone's blood, it's only Kang's, because Kang keeps getting restored again and again. Now the hunter here also starts taking this fight very seriously. He even reaches down to draw out one of his weapons in order to prepare himself so that he can fight against Kang. And he hits Kang really hard, causing Kang to crash into the previous building. But here, the hunter doesn't stop, and Kang also doesn't hold back from taking the hits. Because right now, Kang was only in a troubled mood. He wasn't in the mood to fight yet because his old memories kept coming back to haunt him. And we see that here, Kang is lying on top of a pile of his own corpses, and he just lies there silently. He doesn't do anything to that hunter because his mind is preoccupied with something else. At this point, the hunter comes up to Kang and swings a spear hard, striking him above the eye. But even then, Kang still doesn't say anything to him. Instead, he laughs even louder and with the spear piercing right through his body, tries to move toward him. And yes, this time Kang moves his hand just a little. But it's so incredibly slow that the hunter easily notices, and using his mystical weapon, he strikes Kang with a powerful, devastating bolt of lightning. Right there, Kang miraculously regenerates himself even from a tiny microscopic spot. You can clearly see his hand slowly emerging from that very place. Now, instead of silence, there were blood splatters everywhere and a painful atmosphere had formed. But Kang and the other one, their fight just wouldn't stop. They kept hitting each other with full force again and again. There, the hunter from China forcefully lifts up Kang and hurls him a great distance away, far beyond the city limits, into the vast expanse of his own sea outside the city. He doesn't even spare him while he is still tumbling through the air. He starts attacking him even while he's in the air, and we see Kang falling into the sea along with his weapon. There, Kang begins to sink into the depths of the sea. There he simply can't understand anything at all, and just keeps sinking deeper and even deeper into the dark, silent depths. But then, his eyes slowly open, and it finally dawns on him that his mother from the very beginning of it all.
She was afraid of his power, and all of her smiles were fake smiles. But after learning this, Kang doesn't stop. Instead, he starts laughing even louder underwater. And when he realizes that his mother's smiles were fake, he starts screaming even louder underwater. He starts screaming so loudly that his powers, the ones that were sealed, are unleashed. Because now he had realized what his true worth actually was. And with that, black holes start opening up everywhere. Earlier, when Kang screamed, only about 5 or 6 would open, but this time, thousands of gates open at once. So much mana is released here that you couldn't even imagine it. Even the national level hunter from China is shocked when he sees it, because he had never seen so much mana in his entire life. And all this mana isn't going anywhere else, it's heading straight towards Kang. And from here emerges a brave warrior. Yes, this is Kang's new form, one that could even rival a god, and this form is not one to lose to anyone, because now it contains so much mana that no one could have ever imagined. Seeing this, the hunter gets a bit nervous, because he had realized that his death was near, and before he could do anything, Kang had already severed his head from his body from a distance. After that, he uses his powers to reattach his head, just like someone would stick it back on with glue. But Kang starts laughing when he sees this, because for him, fighting with him had become as easy as child's play. Now we see that both of them have reached their respective max level stages. Yes, this isn't Kang's ultimate max level stage, but at this moment, this is Kang's highest max level stage where he is at the limit of his powers. And the fight between the two is so intense that the mana starts colliding with each other and sparks begin to fly. Here, the national level hunter fiercely swings his spear with his special moves at Kang. But Kang is completely unfazed by this. However, he had infused the spear with the power to throw him into space. As a result, Kang is hit so hard that he is sent straight into space. And even in space, he is struck so many times from such a distance that he starts getting torn to shreds there. But the story doesn't end here. Kang starts coming back down from space, and only his head remains intact, because the rest of his body had been completely shredded. But let me remind you again, Kang's regeneration power is on another level. Now this fool doesn't realize that even after such a powerful attack, Kang will be able to regenerate his powers. Here he is just standing and watching the scene, as if he is looking at some asteroid from there. But as soon as he turns around, he sees that it's not an asteroid, but Kang, who instead of dying, is coming toward him laughing, as if the god of death himself has appeared before him. Here, Kang says, "How beautiful." And with that, we see on the other side that the white-haired guy has been captured by his sister and her army. There, she asks him, "Are you the man who tried to kill my army?" Here, we see that she has captured the white-haired guy. After that, she tells him, "You are the one who was killing my soldiers." And she tells him that now he will have to fight alone against all of her 100 million hunters. And yes, she really did have an entire army of 100 million hunters. She had increased her army by repeatedly killing and awakening people in China, as I had told you earlier. But here we see that as soon as her soldiers attack the white-haired guy, he tries to escape to save his life. At this point, his girlfriend asks him why he is doing so much. He replies that he doesn't want to give up. He says he wants to keep moving forward, and the reason for all of this is just one man, and that man's name is Kang. Yes, he's doing all of this just to take revenge on Kang. He says that he wants to kill that bastard because there is a reason behind it. Here, we are shown some old memories of the guy with white hair. One of his friends says that there are a lot of hunters in this world who keep fighting among themselves. But when we came to Korea, there was nothing like that. And there, some serious conversations also start, where his friend says that if we ever die in a fight, observe my soul. After hearing this, the guy with white hair is initially shocked, wondering what his friend is saying to him. He asks, "How can I do that?" There, he says that if we die, you'll end up observing us anyway, and if you absorb us, we'll live inside you forever, because you're so powerful and no one can defeat you easily. Anyway, it's no big deal. We're friends, so we can at least do this much for each other. After that, their friendship and affection for each other grows even stronger. Then we're shown the present scene again, where he says that he couldn't keep his promise. And from this, we also learn that the one with white hair doesn't actually have any bad intentions. He's just trying to act like a villain. After learning all this, his girlfriend initially becomes sad, but then she thinks about it and also feels afraid, wondering what kind of demon has such thoughts. After that, we see that they reach a safe point where the one with white hair tells her that he has to avenge his friends, so he must leave from there now. You wait for me here, and after that, the one with white hair leaves while his girlfriend watches him go. She can't understand what exactly is going on there. We clearly see that he bravely goes alone to face the entire massive army in order to fight them. There, we find their powerful mistress, meaning the high-level SS rank hunter's younger sister, who possesses the terrifying ability to kill anyone instantly and then extract their shadow for herself. The white-haired guy also realizes that all of these are the shadows of some of China's most dangerous hunters who have died. But the white-haired guy doesn't care about this because now his powers have become truly extraordinary. Here, we see that all the hunters, that is, the dead hunters, start attacking him. The scene there is extremely terrifying because this isn't a 1 versus 1, it's 1 versus 100 million. Here, we see that his sister is completely astonished because she has never seen anyone like him, someone who can take on 100 people all by himself. There, she witnesses his ability. He carries an entire army with him, which then clashes with her own army of the dead. The battle begins, and within a short time, he has wiped out more than half of the army. And he did all this alone. Even then, he doesn't stop. Here, we also learn that his mentality is extremely dangerous. He wants to live alone in this world so that everyone else lives in fear of him. Here, we see that the girls' army gradually starts to get wiped out. At this point, their mistresses give the order, "Go and finish off that man." And here we see that she says, "I'm right behind you." And after that, she revives all of them again and tells them, "I'm right behind you. I will keep bringing you back to life again and again. So fight him without any worries and kill him." Following that sequence, we see a bit of cartoon-style animation right here, where we eventually learn that the specific character with the long white hair was actually considered to be extremely powerful. He killed each and every one of them, one by one. He slowly made his way to that girl as well. At that moment, she was sucking on her lollipop. "There," she says, "as a China, I carry an entire China within myself." She says, "I am not going to lose to you at all." But before she could even finish her dialogue, the white-haired one blew her head off. After that, we see that the girl doesn't go into the future, but instead goes into the past. There, we are shown the scene of her mother's death, where some people broke into her parents' house to kill her mother. She too was a hunter. There, her mother asks, "What are you people doing here?" "This is our home, where my family and I live," and after saying this, she starts crying. At this point, she's about to say that if any of you do anything, and just then, we see that her head is cut off. After that, we see that both her children are hiding next to the wall and are watching their mother's severed head. Yes, these two children are the same ones who are now wreaking havoc everywhere. The girl there was about to cry, but she managed to control herself. But the SS rank hunter, comforting his little sister, said, "Let's go to the next location now." After that, he puts his hand over her mouth and asks, "Why are you crying after all?" "Do you know why our mom and dad were killed? Because both of them were just too weak. If we stay weak too, then one day we'll be killed just like that as well. That's why we have to become strong now and kill everyone." But here, we return to the present scene. There, the girl's eyes remain open and she says, "I'm dead. Does this mean that, just like my parents, I turned out to be weak too?" Her words aren't even finished when the white-haired guy comes over to her, takes the lollipop out of her mouth, puts it in his own mouth, and starts eating the lollipop himself. After that, we're shown another scene where Kang is coming down to Earth like a fireball and sets out to attack directly. Here, we see that as soon as Kong lands, he strikes the hunter with a powerful blow, causing the building the hunter was standing on to break and sending him straight downwards. But no, he doesn't actually send him downwards. This was Kang's plan all along, to take him into his red portal. Because in that place, Kang becomes twice as powerful as he is in this world. Because that's where he gets his mana, which is his power source, and it makes him even stronger. But the problem here is that the hunter will become weaker in this portal. So before entering, he puts a protective layer over himself so that he can survive there. And here we see that Kang's plan succeeds. So here we see that the hunter from China played a clever trick before going in. He grabbed Kang's leg so that he could use him for support and push him into the pit as well. Here we see that he actually didn't fall into the pit, because the mana from the pit started reacting with him, just like it had done with Kang years ago, giving him extremely dangerous powers, and in the same way, he too receives a power, which is poison. Yes, poison. What did he do? He grabbed Kang and injected poison into him. That's when he says, "You also came out of this place like this one day, didn't you?" Yes, this is really quite interesting. Now I understand why you are so powerful. Now, after gaining this power, I feel like I can defeat anyone in this world and fight against anyone. And now I realize why you are so incredibly strong. And with that, we see that the white-haired one has thrown Kang into space. Their battle is now taking place in the sky. There, he tells him that now you will be the first on whom I use this dangerous power, and this power is called Poison Art. As we saw, the SS rank hunter unleashed all his poison inside Kang. And this is no ordinary poison. This is a combined poison from the entire world. All kinds of poisons have been used to create this one deadly poison. At this point, Kang starts screaming loudly because the poison, along with his mana, was reacting with his body in an extremely dangerous way. There, the SS rank hunter asks him, "Can you still fight now?" Here we see that Kang somehow managed to compose himself and launched a powerful mana attack at him. That mana attack hit the SS rank hunter directly, and Kang came right up to him to land a powerful punch. At that moment, the SS rank hunter got lost in his thoughts. He wonders, what is this emotion? And he drifted back into some of his past memories. He says, "This emotion feels just like the first time I tasted candy. Like the first time I saw a smile on my father's face. Like the first time I won my first match by defeating someone. And just like that, the second time, the third time, and every single time, up to 100,000 times as I kept defeating them one by one." He says, there couldn't possibly be a better feeling than this, even though I'm fighting with Kang. Because I first felt these kinds of feelings only when I was making some progress. After that, we see that with this feeling, the SS rank hunter's powers had become even more dangerous. We see that his powers start to form a whirlwind, which begins to blow away all the surrounding buildings and everything else. Inside this whirlwind are the SS rank hunter and Kang, who are fighting each other in midair. At the same time, we see that when the SS rank hunter looks at Kang's entire skin starts to peel off, while all the powers begin to gather around the SS rank hunter. We see that both of them become extremely crazed in the fight. They become so crazy that the SS rank hunter starts to remember some things from his past. We see him lying with a girl at night where the girl says, "I love you" to him. We see him asking, "Hey, what does this 'I love you' mean?" And along with this, we see that he had spent the night with every girl and then killed her, and now this girl had realized that her turn was coming next. Crying, she tells him, "One day you will also understand what love and pain really are." And along with this, we see that the SS rank hunter says, "It seems that today is finally that day." From this, we also learn that he has realized that his death is now near. Because Kang comes right next to him, sticks close, and starts absorbing all his mana using his regeneration power. As we had previously noticed, this is his absorbing power. After this, we see that all the mana is drawn out from the SS rank hunter's body and starts flowing into Kang. And this happens because Kang is actually the true owner of this power, the mana. Here we see that Kang had almost absorbed all the mana from his entire body, and after this, both of them lose their minds. At this point, both of them start reminiscing about their past, recalling how they fought their way to reach this point. Here we see that the building on which their fight was taking place starts to collapse forcefully, causing a violent impact with the ground. We see that Kang is shattered into small pieces, which looks extremely terrifying. And here we see that despite this, Kang remains alive. Meanwhile, all these actions are being watched by his mom and his captain. At this point, he is unable to even move. Now here we see that his mother genuinely starts to worry about her son. But here, his captain knows that nothing can happen to Kang because he is a warrior who never loses. Here we see that the girl starts to worry. At the same time, we see that the one with white hair starts approaching him. His condition is extremely bad and one of his hands is also severed. His assistant runs up to him and asks, "Where were you?" "I was extremely worried." There, he says, "Yuji, why is all this happening?" "I do everything so that people can love me." And with that, he gets lost in his old memories and starts to feel very sad. At that moment, his assistant comes and gives him a tight hug, but as soon as his assistant hugs him, she turns around and sees a woman approaching with a shirt in her hand whose face looks very hideous. So here we see that the white-haired guy's girlfriend is clinging to him tightly and crying. And as soon as she looks back, a woman with a very unpleasant face arrives there, whose name is Hunter Hanami. And if I introduce her to you, she is the same woman whose husband was killed by Kang, who was the strongest hunter in Japan. Some of you might remember, while others might not. After that, his girlfriend asks her, "What are you doing here anyway?" She replies, "I heard that there are some forces here that are waging war against Kang." Here the white-haired one gives a very terrifying look. At this point he says, "Oh, so you also want to fight Kang? That means you're going to join my army and increase my strength as well." So here she says, "Yes, it's not just me. There's another man with me, and I want you all to use your power to bring him back to life so that he can fight with us too." Here, she picks up the cloth she was holding in her hand, and at this point, many people must have recognized who this man is. She says, "Both of us are among the strongest hunters in Japan. So I want you to bring him back to life." At this, the white-haired man starts laughing loudly and says, "All right." And right after this, we see that suddenly everything goes dark, and the person she had come to bring back to life opens his eyes, and this is none other than the President of Japan. And we see, what is this? Here, the president does come back to life, but his wife dies. Actually, here she had made a small deal with the white-haired guy that she would give him her life, and in return, he would spare the president's life. And we are shown that the white-haired guy is sitting behind her severed head. There he says, "How are you doing?" But here, the president becomes extremely angry because his wife's corpse is lying right in front of his eyes, and he immediately shifts into his fighting form, the same form he used when he fought Kang. But here, the white-haired guy is completely unfazed. For him, it was as if this was just a trivial game, and he decapitated him in a single move. And there we see that he holds the severed head in his hand and starts laughing. This also shows us just how powerful the white-haired guy has become. Because when Kang was fighting him here, even he had a really hard time fighting the president. But here, the white-haired guy sliced off his head as easily as cutting through butter. So from this we can tell just how overpowered he has become now. But we see that as soon as he dies, all his memories start imprinting themselves in the white-haired guy's mind, like how he had raised a child. But later, Kang kills him, and then Kang comes out of the portal and hits him really hard, causing a lot of harm to his wife as well. Seeing all this, the white-haired guy goes into a sort of protocol mode where he can only see his hazy memories. On the other side, we are shown a fight scene. When Kang was torn to pieces, he starts regenerating again, and I absolutely don't understand where the slippers on his feet come from after he regenerates. But whatever, why should we care? Here we see that as he is regenerating, he is running towards his enemy, who is Japan's strongest hunter, and we also see that the hunter is still alive, but he is in a really terrible condition. But even then, he was still in the mood to fight Kang, although his arms and legs had been cut off. Here we see that his size had become so small that he was now about the same height as Kang's foot. But in the same way, he had reduced his own size. So the hunter from China says to him, Kang, this fight was really a lot of fun. At this point, he realizes that his final moments have arrived, and in those last moments, he reminisces about his old days. Here, we are shown that he is standing with his father while his entire town is burning. This is the same scene that takes place after his mother's death. There, his father says, Son, if you don't want to experience things like this, you have to become strong. And at that moment, he starts crying and, through his tears, says, For that, you'll have to defeat your father. As soon as his son, who is the S-rank hunter, hears this, without a second thought, he slits his father's throat. And since he was still a child at the time, he even cut off his father's head, saying, Yes, I won, Dad. And with that, we are shown the present scene again, where he says, Finally, Dad, I have lost now. And at the same time, we see that the S-rank hunter dies completely, and with this, Kang emerges victorious. Because their fight had been going on for a very long time, since both of them were absolutely top-notch. But in the end, Kang is always the winner. After that, we see that the old man is the same one who had made weapons for him, and he himself is also an S-rank smithareen. There, he comes up to him, takes out his hammer, and crying says, Finally, you have lost now. And with this we see that he wanted to forge a dangerous weapon from his disciples' dead body parts, and that's exactly what he does. But Kang doesn't let his plan succeed for long and takes him out as well. After that, there is silence everywhere because Kang has finally won, and now he has no reason to fight anyone anymore. Because all around there are corpses, blood, pieces of flesh, even more blood, a crimson sky, and destruction. These are the only things left to him now. But then we see, what's this? Someone suddenly attacks from behind, and we see that it's none other than someone emerging from among those dead bodies. Actually, before leaving, that old man leaves behind an effect so that all these dead people would continue to attack Kang even after he's gone, and with this, we see that it wasn't just one person. Along with this, all of his soldiers come out as well, and each one of them is holding some kind of weapon. It was as if they had been waiting just for him, and at the same time, there were tears in their eyes along with a painful silence. There, they kept attacking Kang again and again. They were waging war so rapidly that Kang didn't even get a chance to regenerate. All of them were telling Kang, You deserve to die, monster. Because of you, we have to endure this pain. And we see that one of the men even runs an entire truck over Kang. As a result, Kang ends up in a terrible state, practically turned to mush. At one point, a man even brings out a whole chainsaw, intending to cut Kang into pieces. But then we see, what's this? His mother, who is also the captain, arrives there to save him. There, he sees his mother. But as soon as she calls out to her son, all the dead bodies start looking towards his mother, and one of them even attacks her very violently. Seeing this, Kang's eyes fill with tears because his mother is badly hurt. Now, on the other hand, we see that the one with white hair is so lost in his memories that he shows no sign of coming out of them. Now his girlfriend had realized that he had gone deep into very painful memories, those of the president and his wife, when Kang had caused them all so much pain. She also understood that if she didn't bring him out of it now, he would remain trapped there forever. Here, we see that she is trying to wake him up by shaking him, but even then, he shows no sign of waking up. So she uses a technique, giving him a slight jolt with her powers. At that moment, she says to him, I'm sorry, but I can't lose you. And with that, we see her slipping into some of her own old memories. Here, her house is shown, which was a very poor household, because at that time, they didn't have much money. There were 4 people in her family, her older brother, and their mother and father. But her parents used to fight with each other a lot. The reason for this was that her father was not a good man at all, and he used to beat her mother so much that her mother became mentally upset. Meaning, she started acting a bit crazy. You can get an idea of this from the fact that whenever her husband beat her, instead of saying anything to him, she would come to him and say, "I love you very much." Here we see that she and her older brother couldn't stop their parents because at that time they hadn't awakened yet. And because of this, one day her mother loses control over herself. She ends up killing her husband. After that, their family started going through very tough times. But her older brother started working outside so that they could manage the household expenses. However, as he started working, his mother's mental condition, which was already unstable, worsened. That's why he even started raising his hand against his mother. But here, she couldn't do anything about it because now she couldn't say anything to either her older brother or her mother. As the days went by, one day something happened that suddenly awakened her. But she didn't tell anyone about her powers. And one night, as she was lying in bed, she wondered if she could use this power to make some money as a hunter. Would she be able to escape from this hell? Now, as she kept thinking these thoughts, suddenly her older brother came to her and started trying to beat her. But the girl, that is the girlfriend of the one with white hair, tries to run away from there. But her older brother swings his leg hard and kicks her, and she falls right there on the road. And just as he is about to hit her hard, we see that she is screaming, and while screaming, her mother comes out from inside to save her daughter. Because no matter how much her mental health had deteriorated, her daughter was still the most precious to her. And we see that her older brother didn't even have mercy on his own mother. He gave his mother a powerful kick, causing her to fall far away onto the road, and when she didn't respond for a while,
She is his daughter, she goes to her, and as soon as she gets close and looks, we see that her mother dies right there on the spot. After that, her mental state deteriorates badly and she becomes so angry that she tries to kill her brother. But her brother also hits her very hard, and after some time, we are shown a scene in a park where we see the white-haired guy and his girlfriend sitting together. But this is from a long time ago, when they were younger, where she asks him, "How many people are left now?" There, the white-haired guy says, "Mom, Dad, these people aren't here to witness all of this, but my ability is getting more and more out of control, and because of that, I keep killing people." But here, his girlfriend tells him, "Don't worry, I have awakened too, and my ability is mana regulation. Using this ability, I can seal your powers. But before I do this, you have to do a small favor for me." And we see that as soon as she takes off her hoodie, her face becomes extremely ugly. Because her brother has tortured her a lot, and there she says, "You just have to kill one more person." And many of you have probably figured out whose turn it is next. And with that, the two of them arrive at her brother's house, where her brother comes outside and says, "You've come here again." Just then, the one with white hair pulls out a stone made from his power right through him, which causes his instant death on the spot. As soon as he dies, the one with white hair starts seeing all the memories, how that man had tortured his girlfriend and his mom, since that's one of the effects of his ability. But we see that the one with white hair is approached from behind by his elder brother, who tortures him a lot, as I mentioned in my previous videos. And as soon as he arrives, he puts a chain around his neck, just like I explained in the last video. And he says, "What are you doing here?" and starts beating him, saying, "You killed another person today. Isn't it enough for you that you've already killed so many people, and yet you keep killing even more?" But we see that his girlfriend comes forward from behind to save him. But her brother is so strong that he stops her with just one hand and says, "What are you doing? Have you gone crazy or something?" But we see that, because of the effect, her brother slips and falls to the ground, and at the same time, the girl uses the power of the white-haired guy to extract the stone from her brother, just as her power is mana regulation. As a result, her older brother dies on the spot. Here, she becomes very anxious and asks, "What will you do now?" He replies, "Don't worry, I promise that I will always protect you." And with that, the journey of their lives together begins. And we are shown the present scene again, where just as his girlfriend is about to give him a shock, this maniac's eyes suddenly open and he snaps out of his depression saying, "How dare you?" And with that, he kills her right then and there. Here, his girlfriend is just about to tell him something, but before she can, she dies right there in midair. But this maniac had no idea what he had just done with his own hands, because after that, only the girl's hand remains, and seeing this, he starts screaming loudly. To fix his mistake, he tries to regenerate her from her blood. But he is unable to regenerate her because to regenerate, some part of the body is necessary. But here, all that's left of her is just a splatter of blood. After that, we see that all he is left with is regret. And in this regret, he becomes so angry that he punches the ground hard, creating a huge crater there. And with this, we see that now he has nothing left to save. Because the one he loved, the only one, had also left this world, and that too because of his own mistake. And now he was so furious that he took off his shirt and created many clones of himself from his body, spreading them to every corner of the world so they could find Kang and destroy him. To find Kang, he knows that Kang hides in the mana gates, so every part of his body, that is, all his clones, went and tried to open the mana gates with their own hands, searching each one. And it's no ordinary thing for anyone to even be able to touch a mana gate with their own hands. Because mana is so powerful that if a normal person even touches it, they turn to ash instantly. But here, the white-haired guy had become so overpowered that the power of the gates didn't affect him at all anymore. He was enduring them as if it was nothing for him. And he had become so powerful that he could even close the gates with his own hands. And on the other side, we see that as soon as his mom and the captain come there to save him, all the zombies there say, "Isn't she an S-rank healer? So please save us. We're in a lot of pain." That's when Kang's captain tells them, "Don't worry, I'll heal you and make you better." And as soon as she says this, he actually starts to get better. And seeing this, all the people standing there who are half dead start going to the healer too, hoping she can heal them as well. On the other side, as soon as Kang gets the chance, he fully regenerates, and the moment he does, his mother's eyes fall on him. She starts to remember some of the old days, thinking that she had given birth to a human being. Now he has grown up so much and looks so different. And along with this, we see that his mother also starts to remember that she had known since his childhood that Kang would turn out to be this kind of person. Here, we see that all the zombies are heading towards the healer, and now only Kang and his mother are left standing. It's as if he is just a normal child in front of her. At first, she feels a bit scared, thinking that he was just an ordinary person. But as soon as she goes near him and places her hand over his heart, Kang's eyes start to fill with tears and, trembling, he says, "Mom." At that moment, his mother says, "Yes, son, your mom is right here." His mother starts to cry and says, "Son, it doesn't matter how you look. Mom will always love you." And because of this, the scene becomes extremely emotional. But what's this? We see that here, his mother says her final words to him, "Son, I love you very much." But from behind, the man with white hair comes and cuts his mother into 2 pieces. At that moment, he says, "I finally found you, Kang." And on the other hand, Kang can't say anything to him because right before his eyes, his mother has been cut into 2 pieces. This sends him into a deep state of shock. Now, the half-dead zombies there all recognize him saying, "Isn't this the Master Hunter of the Kyun Kang Guild? He's still alive." Here, we see that after the white-haired guy cuts Kang's mother into pieces, he also chops off Kang's head. At that moment, he tells him, "Now you won't be able to regenerate so quickly because I've closed every single gate in the world." And from this, we now also know that while searching for Kang, he was closing all the gates so that Kang couldn't escape from there or regenerate. But Kang manages to come out from the last gate. At that point, the white-haired guy says, "Oh, so this last one was left." And with that, the white-haired guy pushes Kang into that hole. After pushing him in, he starts closing the gate. And all those half-dead zombies in the back whom the healer had healed are all saying, "Well done, this is exactly what should happen to a monster like him." And slowly he shuts the gate right there. And Kang goes into that gate forever. And boom, with that, our story comes to an end. I know, everyone is left in suspense about what will happen next. To break the suspense, you'll have to smash the like button. And that too, with just 500 likes. And yes, make sure to turn on the subscribe button so you keep getting notifications. And that too after turning on the bell icon. Alright, see you in the next part. Here, as soon as the white-haired Kang throws him into the red blood portal, but at that moment, Kang's eyes are filled only with tears of regret because he killed his own mother right in front of his eyes. But there, he isn't able to do anything to him. And now he's heading into a useless-looking gate. As soon as he enters, he starts fighting with monsters. Because in the red blood gate, only monsters rule there. Since there's no lifeline source there, and no normal human can go there either. So, what happened next? Our Kang also starts killing all the monsters. He keeps killing the monsters one by one. But he isn't seeing those monsters with his normal eyes. Instead, he's seeing all those monsters as the white-haired boy and killing them. Because his eyes were filled with intense anger towards him. Because that's only natural. He had killed his mother right in front of his eyes. And here, Kang becomes so obsessed with his goal that blood starts to well up in his eyes. And he keeps tearing all the monsters apart one after another. But here we see that a huge titan monster appears and puts its foot on him. After that, Kang gets crushed under its feet. But we see that Kang doesn't die here. He tears apart its foot, and as soon as he rips through and comes out, we see that there isn't just one or two monsters here. Here, there are monsters numbering in the millions. Some are tall, some are short, some have a completely different level of power. Here, we see that even the Titan monsters are standing in great numbers. But our Kang here doesn't get scared at all. Instead, he shouts loudly and says, "Come on, you bastards!" I mean, literally, the guy who couldn't even kill a fly before is now challenging all the monsters alone, and that too with god-level powers. And this keeps going on. And in this way, 6 years pass by. Yes, here, Kang spends a full 6 years inside the portal. After that, we are shown a scene from the present, 6 years later. And that too, in the office building of the guy with white hair, where, on a news TV channel, the guy with white hair is being praised. But we see that the guy with white hair suddenly swings his weapon and smashes it into the TV, because he is not at all interested in any of these things. And we see that after sending Kang to that paradise, the guy with white hair is having a great time with the girls. One of the girls sitting next to him asks, "What happened?" He just tells her to shut up. Then the other girl comes closer to him and says, "I think you've become way too cold." But as soon as the girl comes close to the guy with white hair, a blurry image of his girlfriend flashes in his memory. The same girlfriend whom he had killed with his own hands. Now, all the users here probably know exactly what I'm talking about. And with that, he loses his mind and, within just a few seconds, tears apart the girl sitting next to him. After that, the other girl sitting next to him starts screaming when she sees this. But the guy with white hair doesn't care at all, because he had already killed people in the hundreds of thousands, even millions. That's when the girl runs away to save her life. After that, we see another girl who is heading towards the white-haired guy's room. And she is telling him that none of these things can ease your pain. And we see that this girl is none other than Kang's captain, who used to take care of Kang's mom 6 years ago. And I know that many people must be wondering if Kang's captain has betrayed Kang. After that, his captain goes towards the white-haired guy's bedroom and tells him that none of these things will help. Out of all these things, the only thing that will help is me, because only I can heal you. And we see that she starts to heal him. But here, the white-haired guy starts to cry. The reason for this is the same painful memory of when he killed his own girlfriend with his own hands. Now all of you must be wondering what's going on here. How did his captain end up here? So now we are shown a scene from 6 years ago, and we are told how all of this happened. Actually, when everyone was cheering him up to throw Kang into that portal, at that moment, the guy with white hair also becomes extremely happy after throwing him into the portal, and laughing, he suddenly disappears from there. After that, we see that he arrives at a very old place, and it's raining there as well. Actually, this place is none other than, if you remember, this is the same place where he and his girlfriend used to come and sit together. That too during their free time. But this time, the swing next to him was filled only with silence, because he had already killed his girlfriend with his own hands. After that, he starts crying from this grief and begins to feel the loneliness. because after this fight, he has nothing left. Because he had killed his family in childhood and he had already buried Kang inside that blood-red gate. After that, we see that as he sits alone, his captain comes up from behind. Yes, I think she came to take advantage of the situation, and here she starts to comfort him. After that, we are shown a scene from the present again, where the one with white hair tells the captain, "Don't you think what you're doing is right? Because 6 years ago, you sided with Kang so that Kang could kill me." There, the captain tells him, "Don't you think you should look back at him?" So here, the one with white hair asks, "Who exactly are you talking about?" At this point, his captain mentions Kang by name. After hearing this, the one with white hair gets a little angry. Here, the captain says that 6 years ago, you killed just his mother, not Kang. You didn't even fight him. You just threw him into that red blood gate so you could save yourself. There she says, "I think you're scared, and anyway, Kang was the only man who was able to kill SS ranks, not you." After hearing this, the one with white hair really gets very angry and without thinking grabs the captain by the throat. There, the captain says that maybe you don't, but I want to see Kang again, and from all this, it becomes clear to us that Kang's captain is still on Kang's side, not on the side of the white-haired one. She probably just stays with him for some purpose, which we will find out about later on. So here, the white-haired guy grabs him and says that if I wanted, I could kill him by opening the gate, and I even tried to do that, but I failed, and anyway, it doesn't matter to me because I know he's still writhing in pain. We see that his captain is not at all afraid of all these things. Instead, she replies to him saying that she actually wants to tell him something interesting, and that is the laws of the universe. She says that according to the law of the universe, this world should have ended a long time ago. But at that time, two things emerged. One was the green gate, which we use for normal travel, and the other were the red gates. And as time passed, the red gates became connected with the underworld and even deeper realms, and they turned into red blood gates. That's why they're called red blood gates, not just for any reason. After that, we are shown Kang from 6 years ago, who is in a near-death state. Now, I don't understand how someone who can regenerate himself can end up in such a critical condition. But looking at this photo, it's clear that Kang's condition has become extremely bad. Meanwhile, his captain is still telling him the story that even though you have imprisoned Kang in that cell, deep underground, but the owner of the underworld, that is, the emperor of the underworld, will eventually find him, and once he does, he will definitely grant him his powers. And something similar happened 6 years ago, and I can say with absolute certainty that Kang will definitely come to meet you, and you will soon see Kang with your own eyes. The one with white hair doesn't believe her at first and says, "What nonsense are you talking about?" So here the captain gets up from her bed and says, "Just wait and try to stay alive until then, so you can see that day." As she is getting up to leave here, the one with white hair comes from behind, grabs her tightly, and asks, "Who exactly are you?" But here we can clearly see that the captain doesn't have any fear in her eyes at all. She calmly answers him back and says, "Do you see even a single trace of fear in my eyes?" Right there, the captain tells him, "Let me tell you all about the terrifying Hell Manager." This essentially means that if the powerful king of the underworld opens the ancient gates and turns them into those dreaded red gates to come here, he will bring his entire massive army into this peaceful world to completely destroy everything in his path. He has destroyed thousands and millions of worlds, and this time his sights are set on Earth. But here there's a problem. You've closed all the gates, which is why he's unable to do that. The doors, that is, the red blood gates, are a universal law. Even the king of the underworld himself can't change that according to his own will. But yes, there is one man here who managed to escape from this underworld, and that is Kang. He is the only one who managed to crack the dimensions. That means he has so much power that he can create a red blood gate himself. He never even desired this at all. All he wants is the power of the king of the underworld so that he can open the red blood gates. So when Kang fell into that underworld, here we are talking about the underworld, meaning the red blood gates. The king of hell, meaning the king of the underworld, was supposed to make him realize this, but he couldn't do it. Because Kang had become a complete monster, and the king of hell can only sense the presence of humans or creatures that have come from outside. But at that time, Kang had completely abandoned his human form and had become a total monster, because there he had killed many monsters. Here we see that after hearing all this, the white-haired guy gets really scared. After that, he says that 6 years have passed since then. Surely the king of hell must have found Kang by now and finished him off so that he couldn't steal his power. Here we see that while the two of them are talking, a very bright red light suddenly shines from outside the building through the glass behind them. After seeing this, both of them fall completely silent, and they both realize that the moment has arrived. At that point, a slight smile appears on their captain's face, but the one with the long white hair gets a little bit scared. Now, right here, the entire scene changes and we see three different people sitting together in a dark theater, quietly watching Kang's incredible story unfold on the screen. Yes, somehow a theater appears in the middle of all this, where Kang enters the theater and says, "Mom, I had a very bad dream." Here we see that the audience is saying that finally the story has started. In the theater, we see that the one with white hair comes in and tears his mother apart right in the middle. After that, we see that Kang arrives in the world of monsters 6 years ago. Here, he has to survive among all the monsters, but he was completely alone here. If he somehow manages to steal the power of the King of Hell, he can leave from here, and that too very easily. But the problem is that if he does this, the entire earth will be destroyed, because along with him, millions of monsters will also come out of the Red Gate. Seeing this, the audience is also quite astonished. Here he is saying, "Am I really this crazy? I just want to get out of here." Watching this scene, the audience is experiencing a lot of trauma. Here, Kang is shown with tears in his eyes, and he is saying that he just wants to get out of this place so he can take a simple revenge and do the same things to that bastard with white hair that he did to him and his mother. There are many things, and some of them are so painful that I can feel them with every breath I take here. I want to kill him alive so that he suffers every moment, just like I have felt. At this point, even the audience is saying that this is so horrifying. But I can't kill all the people living on that land for revenge because they are completely innocent. But I too used to be very innocent at one time. I also used to live life just like any other ordinary child. My mother too used to be completely innocent. But at one point my father left this world because he was run over by a truck. That too was because of my mistake, and I used to get beaten up a lot by this bastard with white hair. It used to be extremely terrifying because he tormented me so much. After that, I was thrown into the blood-red gates for 5 years for my self-defense, and when I came back from there, I killed everyone and then I even destroyed Japan. And all of that was just to save you, Mom. I didn't care about anything here, no matter who stood in front of me. But yes, when it comes to Lucas, his case is a little different. At first, he wanted to kill me, but later on, for some reason, he started helping me, and he had so much power that he even turned me back into a normal human. But after that, a very dangerous hunter from China appeared. That bastard beat me up so badly that I had to return to my true form again. I started regenerating again, and in the end, I finished him off too. And he himself turned out to be the cause of his own death. But after everything I did all this for, was I able to stay with her? Because after that, that bastard with the white hair killed my mother, which was absolutely not right. Now let's leave all this behind. I will always be honest with you, Mom. I will always love you, no matter how many innocent lives I have to take for you. But now I feel like I want to die. After seeing this whole story, the audience is also very happy, and with that, this story comes to an end. Here, we see that a picture of Kang is shown, and we realize that the audience is none other than Kang and his mother. We can understand Kang's presence here, but his mother is in a very battered and broken state, because the man with white hair had cut his mother into 2 pieces. Now, I don't know how his mother ended up here, or how she's still alive even after being split into 2 pieces. Here, we see that Kang is actually having a great time even in the underworld. Because here, he had set up an entire theater just so he could watch his own movie. Shortly after that, we see that the cookies finally arrive at the theater. In this scene, all the little kids are jumping around very excitedly and saying, "Thank you so much, kind sir with the white hair, for bravely driving away those terrible monsters named Kang from our peaceful world." Here, we see them saying that they're really happy that that scoundrel is no longer in this world. After hearing this, Kang loses his mind and goes near the theater. There he says, "It's not over yet, kid." And we see that Kang tears apart the theater as well. There, we see his deceased mother saying that there's no point in doing all this here now because we have nothing left anymore. And we see that after tearing the theater in half, a very bright light appears. After that, Kang first laughs a little, looks at the outside world, and when he turns around, tears can be seen in his eyes. There he says, "I know, Mom, that we have nothing left now." After that, we see that in the real world, a huge black crack appears in the sky, and the entire sky fills with what seems like source energy. As soon as he sees this, the man with white hair breaks down the door of his building, comes out into the open, and gets ready to fight. And guess what? Who is the one ready to fight? Yes, that is absolutely correct. We see that an enormous, imposing crimson gateway slowly opens up. From within that space, an ominous and incredibly menacing silhouette emerges. And this dark shadow is revealed to be the formidable figure of our Kang himself. He becomes so formidably dangerous that his physical appearance turns intensely and fiercely aggressive, and his look bears a striking resemblance to that of a powerful emperor, which is truly remarkable. He used to stay in confinement. Yes, it has arrived here now. This clearly means that Kaig had obtained the powers of the King of Hell. Here, seeing Kaig's new look, both you and I were already astonished, but even the white-haired guy with us was left wide-eyed because Kaig was carrying an entire mana source within himself, one with no limits. Still, the white-haired guy decides to fight him and creates a lot of his own clones. So many that he ends up with a whole army ready on his side. After this, we see that on one side there is Kaig and his massive army, which was made up entirely of skeletons. Yes, it looked really strange because on one side, in the name of the devil, there were only skeletons, and on the other side, the white-haired guy, whose own clones had become his army. We see that Kaig had gained so much power that he was leading the entire army alone, and he had opened many red gate portals in the sky as well. Now the fight between the two was about to begin. As soon as the fight starts, there's a huge blast because both teams pounce on each other like hungry beasts. After that, we see Kaig sitting on his dragon and attacking the white-haired guy. In this scene, the white-haired warrior bravely fights him on foot, while the massive dragon has an extremely dangerous and lethal power stored deep within its mouth. In this intense scene, we clearly see that along with his own fierce struggle, the loyal team of skeletons is also putting up a remarkably good fight against the white-haired guy's powerful team. Shortly after that display of strength, we see that Kang's massive dragon releases a very dangerous and concentrated black mana beam directly from its mouth, which strikes the white-haired guy with a direct and devastating hit. At this point, everyone thought that Kang had finished off the white-haired guy in just one move,
But that wasn't the case. The white-haired guy had also become much more powerful among these 6 souls because he sensed the attack and put up a very thick shield around himself to protect himself. Seeing this shield, Kang's face doesn't show any expression at all, as if he couldn't care less about it, like witnessing such things is just part of his daily routine. In this scene, we clearly see that in order to fight against the powerful Kang, the mysterious white-haired guy also summons his massive diamond dragon. Basically, he creates this creature himself from scratch so that he can effectively engage and fight Kang high up in the open sky. After that, we see both dragons fighting below, while above, Kang and the white-haired guy are giving each other a tough competition. Here, the white-haired guy attacks Kang with a very thick staff, but Kang easily dodges it. After dodging, the beam that comes out from their fight is so intense that its effect starts spreading all over the earth because their battle escalates to such an extent that there are no limits to it. Neither of them is willing to accept defeat, after which the scene changes a bit and we see a very peaceful house where an aunt is shown looking at a picture of her son. The person whose picture the aunt is looking at is none other than her deceased son, who was Japan's top-ranked hunter. But we see that because of the fight between Kang and the white-haired guy, the aunt and her house are reduced to ashes in just a few seconds, and their fight doesn't stop even here. Kang is overpowering the white-haired guy very well. Their fight is happening all over the world because they are attacking each other so rapidly that we see the same queen's throne shown, where at the beginning, Kang's driver, the white-haired guy, had brutally beaten him. Now, many of you might be wondering why her body hasn't decomposed yet. The reason it hasn't decomposed is because there were a lot of magical powers inside her body, so her body didn't disappear. But due to the fight between Kang and the white-haired guy, her body also turns to ash, and in the same way, many places are destroyed because of their battle. Here, we see that the white-haired guy starts to take the lead in the fight. At this point, the white-haired guy puts his foot on Kang and tries to crush him. Now, while their fight is still going on, the black holes that Kang had opened up everywhere have started bringing in masters from all over, and some of them are even beyond Kang's control. Here we see that innocent ordinary people get caught up in it, and terrifying monsters start viciously devouring them. But then, we see that Locus finally makes his grand arrival on the scene. Actually, this isn't the real Locus. Here, it's his son who looks exactly like his father because he helps people just like his dad did. Here we see that he turns around to look at a man. After saving him, there were tears in his eyes because he now knew that the monsters would eat him alive right there. And that's exactly what happens. He manages to save that man, but he can't save himself, so the monsters eat him alive. After that, we see that in the midst of the intense fighting, Kang has beaten up the guy with white hair very badly and has pinned him down right there. To kill him, Kang placed all his red gates in the middle so that he could absorb a lot of mana into his body and kill the white-haired guy. And here, just as he extends the hands of his corpses toward the white-haired guy, it turns out that the white-haired guy also has a magical power that we hadn't seen before. From that magical power, a shadow emerges which grabs Kang's leg right there. Here, Kang is unable to move, and as soon as he turns around, we see that the white-haired guy is so ruthless that to save himself from dying, he uses his girlfriend's soul. Which is an extremely despicable thing to do on that flight. Here, we see that after grabbing his leg, the white-haired guy thinks he'll rush straight to Kang and slit his throat. Here, he charges towards him at full speed, which Kang immediately notices, but Kang doesn't move from his spot. The white-haired guy attacks Kang's neck with his magic, but he's shocked to see that it has absolutely no effect on Kang. That's because Kang's body has become so strong that even the sharp metal doesn't affect him. And in return for his gift, the white-haired guy gets a powerful punch to the face, which sends him crashing through the ground and down into the underground water below. At first, we all thought that the white-haired guy was done for, but then we see a huge splash as something bursts out of the water. As we look closer, a man emerges and says, "Sir, you saved the nation from this monster 6 years ago, so we will all fight on your side." We see that 2 people are carrying the white-haired guy on their shoulders. These 2 are A-rank fighters. Along with them, many other high-ranking fighters arrive to join the battle. Among them, 2 are ranked, 1 is also ranked, then again there's an A rank, and one of them is even S rank. Here we see that the 4th person actually has an SSS rank. All these people have come to team up with the white-haired guy, and they declare, "Sir, we will all fight on your side." Facing off against this terrifying massive monster, but I really have to say, it is actually quite funny that the white-haired guy's entire team had already completely disappeared by that point in time. Because Kang had blown off all their heads within a second, and Kang said, "So, this is your two-faced, hypocritical power that I've seen." And here we see that the white-haired guy doesn't care at all that someone came to help him, and because of him, they all died. In fact, he was using all of them as bait, waiting for his own opportunity to launch a powerful attack on Kang. And that's exactly what happens. The white-haired guy unleashes a very dangerous gravity force attack on Kang so that Kang can't escape and gets crushed right there. But that's not what happens at all. Kang does take a little damage, but he gets back on his feet. During the fight, Kang also tells him, "So, you're one of those who killed their own father." Hearing this, the white-haired guy becomes extremely angry, but as soon as he screams in rage, Kang cuts off his head. Now, when Kang cuts the white-haired guy's throat, everyone thinks that he's been killed. However, that's only part of the truth. Yes, he has died, but not completely. You'll understand everything as the story progresses. When the white-haired guy's eyes are closing, we're shown his past, where we see that before he awakened, his father used to beat him a lot because he hadn't awakened and hadn't become powerful like his father. His mother and his brother are also there. Because of this, his father gets very angry at his mother and beats her up a lot. At that time, Jin, who still doesn't have any powers, just silently watches all of this and keeps crying. Now, deeply troubled and overwhelmed by all of this, the white-haired young man picks up a sharp dagger one day. While his abusive father is violently beating his poor mother, the white-haired one slowly comes up from behind when his father isn't paying any attention. But as soon as his father suddenly turns around, the white-haired one accidentally slips on a stray piece of paper lying on the floor. He had only intended to come there to frighten his father. But because he unexpectedly slipped, the dagger slipped from his hand and accidentally struck his father's neck. There, his father's throat is badly cut and his father dies on the spot. Along with this, he absorbs all the mana, meaning he absorbs his father's power into himself. That's why you might have noticed that the one with white hair didn't have that strange red mark on his hand before. His father did, but as soon as he absorbed his father's mana, all his father's powers transferred into the son, that is, the one with white hair. After seeing that her husband has been killed, and not by anyone else, but by her own son, she runs away from there, without thinking about anything. Now, at this point, his brother arrives at the place where the one with white hair is, and there is only regret in his eyes. There, upon seeing his father dead, his brother calls out to him by his name. At first, the one with white hair isn't afraid, but as soon as his brother gets angry and all these things come to light in front of him. Now you all must have understood why his brother used to torture him so much. The reason behind it was that he had killed his own father with his own hands, which is why his elder brother started to completely hate him. After all these events, he meets that girl, that is, his manager. Then, after that, he kills his brother, and after killing his brother, he kills his own brother himself, and also absorbs his brother's powers. And as time goes on, Pitladakia comes forward, and eventually, he even kills his girlfriend, who was his last hope for living, because he had already killed everyone else in his family, but she was the only one left. Now, she too had left this world. Here, we are shown a brief flashback to the scene before Kang and the white-haired guy's fight, when both of them were sleeping in the building. The white-haired guy and Kang's captain. Here we see that the white-haired guy has disturbing dreams, haunted by the souls of all the people he has killed. Their spirits torment him greatly, making him very troubled. There's another thing. Everyone he kills, he absorbs into himself. As you saw earlier, the white-haired guy was using the souls of his own girlfriend to fight Kang. Yes, he absorbs everyone into himself, just like he did with his father and brother's powers. Powers meaning their abilities. Now all these things trouble him so much that they start to overwhelm him, and because of this, he wakes up from his dreams. Here, we see that Ken's captain supports him and says, "It's happening again. You are suffering a lot because of these things. First, the most dangerous of all their powers, and along with that, the dangerous memories you have absorbed within yourself." Then she asks him, "How many people have you absorbed into yourself?" After being troubled by all these things, the white-haired guy asks his captain, "Can you seal my abilities, just like my girlfriend did a long time ago?" But when she replies, his captain tells the white-haired guy, "No, I'm just an ordinary healer. As an S rank, I can't seal anyone's powers, but I think you could do this yourself." Here, the white-haired guy, crying, says, "No, that's absolutely impossible. I can't seal my own powers." After that, he falls off the bed and starts crying loudly, saying, "I'm really fed up with all these things, and I can't continue with this anymore." That's when he mentions his girlfriend's name. Sorry, I hadn't told you all his girlfriend's name. His girlfriend's name was Jeju. That's when he says, "Jeju, I want to meet you again," because she was the only support he had left. There, talking to himself, he says, "Do you know, Jeju, I tried so hard, desperately tried to bring you back, but I was never successful, and after that, I was so defeated that I had absolutely no idea what I should do next. But then, something happens, something I did. I discovered a new method and realized that there is such a thing as time and space, which interacts with gravitational force, and because of that effect, we can actually control time." Yes, now at this point, the story starts to get a bit of a twist and some flavor, where the white-haired guy says that he can go back in time before your death and save you, and he does this by using gravitational force as a base. Not just 1,400, but by combining 14,000 abilities to create a formula that can bring you back from death. For this, he destroyed many countries so he could bring you back, and who knows how many times he risked his own life. But when he tried this again and again with time, he finally succeeded once in going back in time. But when he actually went back, he was disappointed because he couldn't go to the exact moment he wanted to. That is, he couldn't reach the point before Yuji's death where he wanted to go. He arrived at the point where he had thrown the gang into the gates and closed all the gates. That is, when he had closed all the red gates. He simply couldn't go back in time before that. This was completely out of his control, as this incident had happened 6 years ago. Because this entire timeline is, in some way, connected to the red gates. Now, since he had already closed all the gates here, it's possible that by closing the red gates, the timeline that allowed him to go back was also severed, along with the red gates being cut off. That means he can only go to those times that occurred after he closed the red gates, not to any time before that. All these things gradually start to make sense to the one with the white hair, but he keeps wondering how this could even be possible. Still, he can't quite grasp it, and he becomes so obsessed with this idea that he insists there must definitely be some way to go back, some path behind all this that would let him return to the past. After that, he tried every single method he could think of to go back in time to where he wanted to be. He tried so many times that he couldn't even keep count, because every time he tried, he ended up facing defeat. After so many attempts, he stopped for a while, and all of this happened because of Kang. It was all because of Kang. If Kang hadn't come, he wouldn't have closed the case, none of this would have happened, and he would have been able to go back in time easily. Now here, we are shown the president's scene again, where Kang has slit the throat of the white-haired man. As the white-haired man is dying, he tells Kang that he will kill him before he dies himself, and with that, he reverses time. Yes, that's right. When Kang had beheaded him earlier, he had already planned everything in advance. That means he already possessed the power to control time. So, as soon as Kang cut off his head, he reversed time, using the power of space and gravitation. He reverses time from there, and as he leaves, he says, "Kang, I am never going to die." Now, as soon as he says this, everything starts reversing, and he returns to the same night in that building where all these events begin to repeat. There, a TV is playing, and suddenly, the white-haired guy crashes forcefully into the TV, right where the white-haired guy is. With a slight smile, he says that finally he has come back in time, but just 24 hours later, we see that everything is covered in red everywhere and the white-haired guy is lying on the ground. We see that the white-haired guy has been decapitated, and we realize that this is what he had tried with time. 138 times. Yes, even after trying 138 times, the white-haired guy still ends up decapitated here. Now, many people might not have understood what exactly happened in those 24 hours that led to this and what this 138 times means. This will be revealed a little further ahead. Now, a lot of people are wondering what exactly happened in those 24 hours. Alright, let me explain. When, 24 hours earlier, the white-haired guy turns back time and returns, we see that his captain comes there, and the same scene more or less repeats where she comes into his room. But this time, as soon as he sees her, the white-haired guy says, "I know you already knew all of this because you can see the future, right?" Instead of joking around with her like before, he grabs her directly and says, "Gang hell, pal, and you already knew all these things, didn't you?" Here, the captain doesn't understand what exactly he's talking about. That's when he says, "I can control time and go back in time, and it was you who told me all this about time and space. So now tell me, who are you? And how did you know all of this?" At this point, his captain refuses him and says, "I haven't lied to you about anything. I've only shown you the truth." She tells him that her ability is to read and heal things, and as time passes, these abilities become stronger, and even stronger is her powerful flow. She explains to him, giving a bit of wisdom, that as the currents of air and water spread, she can sense things through them, And as the Earth moves and expands, and the solar system also expands, that's how she comes to know about everything happening in the galaxy, how the galaxy was formed, what the past is, and what the dimensions are. And the final aspect of this is how our planet was formed and what its end will be. And the reason I'm telling you all these things is that I can see the future, and this is the future where Kang will come through a red gate, break your back, and destroy our entire world in the hatred of his eyes. After that, his captain has so much truth in her eyes that she says none of these useless things matter because we're all about to die anyway. That's why I've been sneezing so freely and without any tension until now. Along with that, she also says that she has never seen any future for the one with white hair from her perspective. Here, the one with white hair says, "How can I believe you? How can I trust you?" To this, his captain tells the white-haired one, "Well, there's no reason for you not to trust me either. And anyway, if I were lying, you would have already turned back time and tortured me to make me confess everything. So why would you even need to do that?" At this point, the white-haired one still doesn't trust her and tells her to be quiet and just tell him how he can kill that Kang bastard. As their conversation is going on, suddenly from behind, that same ominous red light appears. And by now, we all know what that red sign means. Who has arrived on this earth? Yes, right where his captain is. Seeing this red light, she says, "This is it, and defeating Kang is impossible." Then we see that as soon as the 24 hours are up, Kang beheads the white-haired one. I guess now you understand how the white-haired guy's head was cut off within 24 hours, and that too at exactly 1:30. Later, there will be a bit more explanation about what this timing means. After this, the white-haired one manipulates time and goes back 24 hours, meaning he tries again for the second time, hoping that by going back in time, he can defeat Kang. He thinks that Kang is able to do all this because he has directly received the power from the one who creates the mana. After this, he is killed again the second time. Then, for the third time, he tries again, rewinding time 24 hours back, but he is killed yet again. The white-haired one keeps thinking to himself that it doesn't matter how strong you are, and so the white-haired one keeps dying again and again, 6th, 7th, 8th time, constantly rewinding time by 24 hours each time. Here, the white-haired one says that it doesn't matter how powerful you are, and no matter how many times I die, I will keep going back in time again and again. We see that he really does this. He keeps doing the same thing. He keeps going back in time again and again to the point where he has already done this 50 times. But the gang was not going to give in. They were not going to let him go just yet. After that, the gang beats him so many times that the guy with white hair keeps going back 24 hours again and again until the 138th time. But none of this makes any difference, and in the end, his head is cut off for the 138th time. I hope by now you all have understood what the thunder was here. Here, the gang comes after him, but the guy with white hair manages to survive. He is planning to go back in time again. There, he is thinking to himself that he knows when he went back in time, he tortured Lee Yumin, that is the captain of the gang, a lot. But she was telling the truth. There was no lie in her eyes, which means it is absolutely true that the gang cannot be defeated or killed. And with this, the gang lands one final blow on the guy with white hair. But the guy with white hair rewinds time again and goes back. But the guy with white hair still wasn't ready to give up. He says that he doesn't give a damn about this. Immediately after that, he rewinds time once again by exactly 24 hours. In this timeline, the sky is completely and eerily red. And the mysterious guy with the long white hair slowly places his hand on the cold glass of his building. deeply, thinking to himself that all of this tragedy happened because he made a truly huge mistake 6 years ago. There, we see that many voices echo his name around him, and these voices are from that very moment in time. 6 years ago, when he killed the gang's mother and people were cheering him on. There, he thinks to himself that all of this happened because I killed your mom. But what if I save your mom? Will you stop then, gang? But none of this makes any difference because the guy with white hair can't save a known awakened. Even if his captain, who is the healer, arrives here right now, she still won't be able to save his mother. Here, you might be thinking, wouldn't it be better if he went a little further back in time and saved her? But as I told you, he can't save his mom even by going back, because his mom died before the gang entered the gates. That is, when the white-haired guy cut off the gates, his mom had already died before that. So this means that the white-haired guy couldn't have saved his mom either. At this point, the white-haired guy had understood all of this, that none of these things matter anymore because the gang can't be stopped. But now the only solution to this is the death of the gang, either die or kill. Here, we see that 6 years ago, he caused a lot of destruction, and as these 6 years passed, he did something very wrong. He killed all the awakened people in the world and absorbed their minds as well, so that he could become extremely powerful. That way, when the gang returned to Earth, he could defeat them with his full power and close those gates. But this was his biggest mistake, that he closed all the gates and threw the gang into those gates. After that, the gang comes out from one of those gates and wreaks havoc everywhere. Here, the white-haired guy had a solid plan. As soon as the gang opened the gates, he would kill him right then and there. But the gang had become so powerful that he kept regenerating again and again. Every time he would regenerate and keep killing him over and over. Even if I tried to seal him underground again in a diamond, just like I did many years ago. But this time he would slice through it like butter, come back out and kill me again, even if I was about to destroy the entire Earth. He would tear through the very core of the Earth to come and kill me, and he still managed to kill me. And even if I threw him into a black hole, he would come back out of the black hole and kill me again. And all of this was happening because I killed his mom and threw him into the red gates. And because of all this, he became so powerful on his own that not just me, no one could defeat him, and instead, he was the one completely destroying me. And the regret for all of this is clearly visible in the eyes of the one with white hair. Because he yells at him, saying all sorts of harsh things, but in his eyes there are tears of pain and helplessness. And here, the coolest moment happens, and that is when the one with white hair himself says that after going back in time thousands and millions of times, so many that he lost count, he realized one thing, which had become a universal truth, and that is, no one can kill the gang. Killing him is impossible. These are the very words that the one with white hair says himself. After that, when he goes back in time again, his captain tells the one with white hair that she can see the future, and in the future, all she sees is that the gang will come out of the red gate and destroy the entire world. And all these things were running through the mind of the one with white hair, and as he was dying, he kept thinking that the captain was absolutely right. Kang cannot be stopped. He is only going to bring destruction. In fact, the one with white hair was so exhausted by all this that he said, when I was just sitting quietly in a corner here, simply waiting for peace. Even then, Kang would come there and kill me without doing anything, cutting off my head again and again. But he turned back time again, because the one with white hair absolutely did not want to die. But after blindly repeating this thing over and over, the one with white hair figures something out so that he can kill Kang. Now here he realizes that he has always been fighting alone and has always taken care of himself on his own. But here, if he wants to kill Kang, he will have to do something different from this. Meaning, until now, the only person he was close to was a single girl with whom he shared his feelings, and that was Yuji, his manager, whom he had killed very mercilessly. She was the only girl with whom he had been sharing his feelings since the beginning. If you remember the earlier things, besides that, literally, the white-haired guy never shared his feelings with his parents, or even with his elder brother, if you remember that as well. And as these things start to register in his mind, he realizes that these things are forming a connection with him. That if he can't defeat him alone, it means his own strength isn't enough, which is the truth. Kang is extremely powerful and he can't defeat him by himself, so he understands this connection, and this time he does something different. After that, the one with white hair after dying directly reverses time and goes back again to that same past. But here, the big difference is that when he goes back in time this time, he doesn't kill anyone. Yes, all the hunters he had killed so far in order to make himself more powerful, this time he didn't kill any of them, and all these people are the ones who had come to help him. But instead, the one with white hair had killed them all. In fact, not only does he spare them, but he also holds a conference in front of everyone, Liv, where he tells them the whole story. He even reveals everything he has been doing from the very beginning until now, and that he is not some kind of hero for them. He even admits how badly he has treated Kang so far, and that he killed his mother as well, after doing all those wrong things to him. Honestly, the one with the white hair really showed the courage to do this time, because no one had expected that a person like him would bring about such a change. He even revealed that he can control time and go back in time, and so far, after dying countless times at the hands of Kang, he returns to that ongoing past. That means he is somewhat connected to time, and all these things become known to everyone live. Where all the hunters, who are exceptional hunters, are watching this live, and after he had told everyone his entire story, the one with white hair simply asked everyone for help, to join him in fighting against Kang so that Kang would not wipe out humanity. Because this demon named Kang was not created by anyone else, but by him and his world itself through their ruthless behavior. Because devils are often not born, they are made by the world. Here we see that everyone listens to him very attentively, and at the same time, we see that during this entire conversation, the person who was once Kang's captain is also listening to everything very carefully. Anyway, after hearing so much about how the white-haired one treated all of them so badly in the future, everyone leaves, abandoning his words unfinished. But here, the white-haired one does not give up, because he has traveled through time countless times, which has given him a lot of experience with all these things. He even rewinds time countless times to persuade these people, repeatedly asking them for help. And finally, there comes a moment when he does manage to convince them to join him in the Great War against Kang. Because here, all those people who had died actually hadn't died. They had sacrificed themselves so that he could become stronger, not because they were weaklings. And with this, we see that the day finally arrives when it's Kang versus the white-haired one. Here, we see that all these people are not just nobodies. Each of them has their own story, and because they are strong, they support the white-haired one to save humanity and to fight against Kang. And all these people are the same ones. As you might remember, these are the ones who came to fight alongside the white-haired one against Kang, so that by supporting the white-haired one, they could defeat Kang. But it was the white-haired one who killed them all. Here we see that at that very moment, the white-haired one communicates with the mana of those dead people who are now residing within his body just before the battle. Because, as you know, whenever the white-haired one kills someone, their mana gets absorbed into him. As a result, countless souls, or you could say mana, are stored within him. All the mana within him becomes a part of the white-haired one, an inseparable part that supplies him with power, and it looked as if he was talking to himself. because up until now, he has spent a lot of time returning and rewinding time again and again, and even then, he has faced countless failures. But here, he did not give up. And when we see that the final mana belongs to his girlfriend with whom he is talking, he absorbs her as well, along with all his sorrows. Here we see that as soon as he finishes talking with her, all of their memories, even his own memories, start to cause him pain, because now he realizes how many wrong decisions he had made, like how many terrible things he had done, and how much destruction he had caused, which was truly monstrous. And what he did to Kang's mother was the greatest sin of all. Because if he hadn't done that at the time, the world and the white-haired one's condition wouldn't be like this today. And along with this, we see that the white-haired one's mind opens up. At the same time, we see that on the other side, the portals start opening up again. All the hunters are extremely anxious, but there is a spark in their eyes that they will defeat Kang. The white-haired one is also ready because he doesn't want to waste any time, nor does he want anyone else to experience this pain, this suffering of losing loved ones whom we care about the most. He absolutely does not want to pass these feelings on to others. Along with this, we see that everyone present on the battlefield gets ready to support the white-haired one. Here, we see that the white-haired one sends a proposal to Kang, asking him not to continue this fight, because this battle will only bring destruction everywhere. But this doesn't matter to him, and finally, Kang emerges from the portal, something we had all been waiting for once again. Here, we see that there is a spark in the eyes of the white-haired one as well, as if he is not ready to lose at all. Here we see that the white-haired one had already realized that Kang was not going to stop until his last breath was extinguished, which is practically impossible. And as soon as Kang arrives, portals start opening up everywhere. But this time, along with the white-haired one, there are thousands of dangerous hunters who are ready to face Kang. At this point, we all thought that Kang was going to be completely finished, but we were all wrong. What actually happens is the complete opposite. Kang once again defeats all of them effortlessly, and the white-haired one ends up falling at Kang's feet. The white-haired one had truly given his best to fight against all of them, against Kang and his entire army. And along with that, he had done who knows how much research on Kang. Even after dying so many times, he had adopted all of Kang's fighting patterns. Every time, by going back in time, he had carefully studied each move so that he could fight Kang. He had even guided all the hunters as well. He personally went and guided each and every hunter by creating many clones of himself at the same time. As a result, their coordination became excellent and they performed very well. He even put up a pretty tough fight, and to learn this pattern, he continued this fight 10,000 times. Yes, after convincing them 10,000 times, he fought with Kang. But every time, the result was the same, and that was that Kang could not be killed. These words, the ones Kang's captain had said to the white-haired one, were pricking the white-haired one's ears like needles. Where, while waiting for his death, he says that in the end, is this really a bad dream going on? Or is it just a meaningless thing that I am trying to fight against Kang? Because dying has become impossible now. At this point, he is deeply saddened, has lost all his courage, and apologizes to everyone who lost their lives on this battlefield, and he starts crying in front of Kang. Because after dying so many times, literally 10,000 times, anyone would be completely exhausted. And just as Kang reaches out his hand to kill him, but here, there's another twist, and guess what? The blood that drips here doesn't belong to anyone else, but to the white-haired guy's mom. Didn't get it? Let me explain further. Here, standing in front of the white-haired guy is a woman. This woman is his mom. Actually, when we are shown a brief scene from his past after he killed his father, his mom ran away from there at that time, and since then, the white-haired guy had never seen his mother's face. But here, we see that the one who comes forward to save her son is none other than his own mom herself. Here, the white-haired guy is quite shocked to see this, and Kang himself is also shocked. And he says, "Oh, so this is your mom." Here we see that his mom has tears welling up in her eyes. This same pain, these same feelings are just like when Kang's mother was being killed. She feels pain in her mouth, and Kang ends up making the same mistake as the white-haired guy. He also tears through his mom. Exactly the same way the white-haired guy killed his mother. I can't believe that Kang was so consumed by his remorse that he didn't even realize what he had done. At this point, the white-haired guy starts to lose his mind, not knowing what to do next. Now, we are shown a bit of the white-haired guy's mom's past. Here, we find out that his mother belonged to a very high-status background, because his father was a judge, and their family was of very high status. After this, her parents only wanted one thing from her, and that was perfection. Being perfect in everything, which was a very miserable life for the white-haired guy's mom. Because she had to do everything perfectly, she won a lot of trophies in various things. Because she was perfect in all those things. Even while living this miserable life, she never complained to her parents. Because her innocence was evident on her face, showing just how sweet and innocent his mom used to be. Because for his mom, only one thing had become the ultimate truth in life, and that was perfection. To be perfect in everything, and his mom fulfilled this without any hesitation, without any complaints. But there was one thing here that she always regretted. A decision, an emotion, and that was that her family had married her off to a man who was much older than her, someone she neither knew nor loved. But later, gradually, her mother fell in love with her husband, and after that, falling in love with an older man and reporting a pregnancy as well, meaning that after that, she became pregnant. We see that everything was going well, but later, her mother was thrown out by her own family. Now, we don't know the reason for this, but she was cast out along with her child. Perhaps because her child, or maybe she herself, was no longer considered perfect. And this was the price her mother had to pay for an imperfect decision. A decision that was anything but perfect. But for the mother of the white-haired one thing was absolutely true, and that was the elder brother of the white-haired one, whom she held in her hands, and who is no longer in this world. And after that, one thing became clear to his mother. There was one thing she was absolutely certain of, and that was that she would have to maintain perfection. If she didn't do that, the world would never accept her. She took perfection to such an extent that, in order to perfect even her own love, she created her own husband, who later became the father of the white-haired one, in a lab herself, or conducted some experiments. We don't have the full details of this, but something like this happened, which is why we come to know why the white-haired one is able to control time, because there is some secret behind this as well. He is left stunned after seeing his mother there, because he had never seen his mother like that before, because his mother always demanded perfection. So why did his mother end up saving him at that moment? Could it be that even she started seeing the white-haired one as perfect? The same perfection for which she took such a step. Or perhaps the reason is something else, that she wanted to die a perfect death, which is something neither we nor the white-haired one know anything about. Here we see that as soon as Kang splits his mother in half, the white-haired one starts crying, and this time his crying was truly heartbreaking from deep within. Because he saw his mother after so many years, and that too lying dead on the ground. After that, for a while, there is silence everywhere. With the weather as red as blood, the white-haired one says to Kang, "So, is this how you felt, Kang, when I killed your mother?" And the expression on the white-haired one's face is truly very strange. Now, after realizing this, the white-haired one tells Kang everything. Everything means absolutely everything. Everything that had happened so far, no matter how many times he had traveled back in time. His countless deaths, how many times he had to endure all of this, and along with it, the regret he felt. He told all of this to Kang as well. At this point, the white-haired one says that he has lost count of how many times he has gone back in time after dying at Kang's hands. That's why I apologize to you, Kang. Here, he says, I really am a terrible person. Now I have learned everything, how wrong I was to your mom. I truly want to apologize to you. But here Kang stands in silence and asks, then why did you do that to my mom in the first place? After all, what was my mom's fault? So why did you do that to my mom? Here, the one with white hair doesn't have any answer at first and just sits there in silence. But later he starts laughing, and while laughing, he then begins to cry at Kang's feet. There, he lifts his head and says, I don't have an answer to that either, Kang. And as soon as Kang heard this, he wasn't willing to listen to anything else. As soon as he said this, Kang separated his head from his body. There, the one with white hair says, so this really is my end. I feel like I've lived my life enough, and we see that this time, the one with white hair isn't controlling time to go back. But we see that even though he wanted to die, once again, he was sent back in time against his will. And once again, it's the same place that you all must have seen thousands of times. But here, the difference is that earlier, whenever the one with white hair came back in time, there was always a passion in his eyes to kill Kang. But this time there was only regret in his eyes. There was despair and a sense of relief that he had finally died happily. He wants to die with his regrets, which he had confessed in front of Kang and the whole world, where he extends his hand and says that I have to die anyway, so it's better if I die now. And with that, in that very moment, the white-haired one cuts off his own head himself. But then time rewinds on its own, where the white-haired one grabs someone's weapon and tears his own mouth open down the middle. Here again, time rewinds and he says, what on earth is going on? And he dies once more. Here, he comes back again and keeps repeating this process, which makes him frustrated. And he gets so frustrated that he looks up at the sky and screams at the top of his lungs, God, what is it that you want from me? Here he says that he knows he will die at Kang's hands anyway, so he would rather die by his own hand to have a peaceful death. But we see that because of his actions, the other people around him are looking at him in a very strange way. Here, the white-haired guy starts getting really agitated, and the pressure from the people around him begins to mount. He says that he can't let his life be ruined any further. He just wants to die a peaceful death. He pleads, please let me die. And with that, there's a huge explosion, and once again, the white-haired guy is sent back in time. Here we see that this time something changes, because this time his captain, who was once Kang's, comes to him and says, hey! At this point, the white-haired guy is at her feet and says, you know all about these things, don't you? He even starts to touch her feet. He asks, what exactly is going on here? So his captain says, after dying thousands of times, you come back in time again. Here, she says that the mana source is actually the fabric of time itself, that is, the threads of time, which are now starting to bond and twist together. And as these twists kept happening, a point came when the threads of time themselves formed a loop. This loop was created because of the gate system, that is, the way he kept opening and closing the gates, and because of this, a loop was formed. And because of this, Kang, the one with white hair, kept coming back in time again and again, even after dying. The reason for this is the loop, and he even went so far as to say this as well. It was that, because of this loop, you are going to die within these 6 years anyway, no matter what you did, and this prophecy was made by her. There, her captain looks into her eyes and says, why do you keep dying over and over because of this? There, the one with white hair says, recklessly, and along with that, she shows him a certain move, or you could say a technique, which, after hearing about it, leaves the white-haired guy completely stunned. He is even unwilling to accept it, and at the same time, a unique smile appears on his captain's lips. And we see that after witnessing this, now who knows what exactly she showed him. His eyes remain wide open in shock, and a very bright light spreads across the entire land. Now the scene changes again, and we see that here everything is engulfed in a red mist. After this, we see that finally, in the future, the one with white hair is killed, and this time he is unable to change his future like he used to every time. And seeing this made us very sad, because even though Kang has won, the death of the white-haired one brings a deep sense of sorrow, especially for me. After that, we see that as soon as he beheaded him, the Helka king who was there was watching everything from behind, and Kang had absolutely no idea about this. We see that humanity had ended here. The entire country had been destroyed. The whole world had been devastated, because the only one who could stop Kang was that white-haired guy. But even the grave of the white-haired one had been dug up. Now we see that mana extraction is happening so much here that mana is emerging from every corner of the earth, and Kang finally gets his revenge. As he moves forward, all the monsters that had come through the portals gradually start to disappear, and all the monsters vanish. But we see that someone calls out to Kang from behind using his real name, which is Jiyoung. And we see that the one calling his name is none other than his captain, who comes from behind, hugs him, and says, "You did a great job, Kang." Now here we are shown a bit of the backstory of the Helka king, whose name is Pel. Here we see that it is revealed to us that Pel had destroyed the earth a long time ago. So much so that nothing was left on it, and at that time he also possessed immense powers. But because of all this, he ended up losing his sense of identity, meaning he couldn't even tell what he was doing and what he wasn't. Along with this, he was doing all of this without any reason, meaning he had nothing else to do, so he ended up doing all of this. After that, all that was left there was devastation and destruction, and we see that at one point, he suddenly starts to feel that he is completely alone in this world. That's when he realizes this, and because of this realization, he thinks about creating a life. Yes, he wanted to create a life so that he could overcome his loneliness. But every single time, he failed at creating a life. But once, he tried a completely different approach. After that, he takes his own heart out of his chest with his own hands, and from that heart, he creates a daughter. Yes, a girl. He has a daughter, and that's why she goes on to live for a very long time. Here, the captain tells this whole story to Kang, and after hearing it, Kang asks, "That daughter, was it you?" To this, the captain replies, "Yes, I am that daughter." Just like you were shocked to hear this, I was also shocked, and she accepts very calmly that she is the daughter of the king of hell. There she says, "But the problem is, as you can see, I am also a human being just like you." That's why I couldn't survive in that hell for very long. My survival there was difficult, so I was thrown out of that hell through the gate so that I could stay alive. But was it really necessary to throw me out like an orphan? There she says that outside the gates, this world was destroyed 4.5 billion years ago. Just like Kang has done in the present, exactly the same way. So she lived there, where everywhere was barren land and nothing alive existed. After seeing all this, the captain wanted to die. She tortured herself a lot, but the pain in her veins, her blood, and even her heart kept running. Because of this, dying was simply impossible for her. There she says that as she spent a long time in different dimensions, she gradually started moving towards life, and her desire to die had almost disappeared, because slowly the world had started to improve. But the worst thing here was that I couldn't meet him beforehand, because I had to meet him, and that was only possible when the world was on the brink of complete destruction or had already been destroyed. Only then was it possible to meet him. After that, she spent millions of years alone on that earth, just waiting. After millions of years had passed, the earth itself had started to heal, and our captain lived all that time in solitude, bearing the pain of loneliness. There she says, "Kang, you have no idea what kinds of people I met and how I survived all these years." At first, she used to be very sad. But then comes a time when she meets some people, some living people, because the earth had become quite developed by then, and this was the era of tribes. There, she found living humans like herself, and she managed to make contact with them. That is, she succeeded in communicating with them. There, she even learned their language. During this time, to escape her loneliness, she fell in love. Yes, she fell in love with a man. There, her loneliness completely disappeared. She lived a very happy life with her love partner as well. But the problem here is that the age of the men is limited, because here only the captain's age is almost unlimited, but not the others. So, at first, she was very happy with her partner, but as time passed, her love left her alone in this world and passed away. He left her alone in the middle of life's journey, and once again, loneliness began to surround her. To escape this, she fell in love with someone else again. This time, together with her new love, she even had children. She even saw her children have children of their own. But again, the same thing happens. Her love dies. She falls in love with someone else again and has children with him. This time, she even managed to see the children of her children's children's children. So many that I can't even count them for you. She had practically become a childbearing machine. She accepted this and continued on like this, meeting new people, falling in love with them, and trying to overcome her loneliness. But the biggest problem was always the same. All of them, sooner or later, would die, leaving her alone in this world, and once again, that loneliness would start to pierce her heart. Here, she says that she doesn't even know how many times she has endured pain in her entire life. She had been enduring this pain for 4.5 billion years. Sometimes she would fall in love, and sometimes she would feel that loneliness all over again. But here, she was never able to truly overcome these things. After this, she was able to understand her father through all of this, how much her father must have felt. That's why he created her, to overcome his own loneliness. But after that, because of this loneliness, she was also able to see the future. Yes, this is the same future because of which both Kang and the white-haired one were in trouble. There, she could see the future and could see anything in it. After that, she saw a future, just one future, in which she was able to meet her father, and that future was only made possible today because of Kang. There she says that this was the future in which my father could come out of the red gate and meet me, and because of you, because you did all this, now I can meet my father. At this point, Kang is completely shocked. He doesn't understand anything and becomes engaged by what she's saying. She says that in different futures, she saw different results, but every time she failed. But in this future, it was only possible because of you, and you are the one who made all of this happen. Here Kang, shocked, asks her, "Did you use me?" At this point, we find out that everything that has happened to Kang so far, literally from his father's death to the moment his father died, even his mother being admitted to the hospital, even the act of trying to save his mother, the plan to kill his mother, and even when the white-haired guy was fighting, deliberately bringing his mom to the scene so that the white-haired guy could tear her apart. All of this, every single thing, was planned by his captain. Literally, bro, so many terrible things happened to Kang. After hearing this, Kang becomes extremely angry, and in his rage, he tries to attack him. But you'll be shocked to see that his captain wiped out everything about Kang with just one finger. In other words, with just a finger, he turned him from a monster back into a human. Kang is also left stunned, wondering how this was even possible. After that, Kang freezes in place for a moment, and she says, I have also seen in the future that your end will come, and it will happen right here. Here, Kang refuses to accept this, and she tells Kang, Kang, you know, it was because of you that the white-haired one got such a glorious death. Yes, you all must be thinking that Kang had defeated the white-haired one, but you are only half right about that. Because if you remember, there was a deal between him and the white-haired one, where the white-haired one wanted death, so he removed that loop. Because of that loop, even after dying repeatedly, he would return from the future to the past and then go forward again, only to be killed by Kang once more. He broke that very loop, and as soon as it was broken, this time when Kang killed him, he died permanently. And the conclusion of all these things is right in front of you. So you probably aren't able to understand this anyway. Kang was still frozen here. But here, the captain very calmly tells him not to worry. Now everything will end right here. Everything will finish here, Kang. She says that when she and her father are in the same dimension, that is, on that earth, she can die very easily. Because her heart belongs to her father, not to her. She explains with deep sorrow that if she dies here, then her father will surely depart from this world as well. She says it was on that very day she finally came to realize that her father also felt incredibly lonely. And that all of these tragic events happened simply because of the overwhelming weight of that profound loneliness. So she finally decided that she would meet her father once again and completely destroy this entire world to its very end, burning it all down to nothing but ashes. And with that, as she says this, she thrusts her hand into her chest and pulls out her own heart. As soon as she takes it out, she says that now she is going to end this cycle of loneliness. Now we won't have to be alone anymore. Kang is also shocked to see this. And here, she tells the captain, by the way, Kang, you are not different from us either. Because I know you have suffered a lot, but that doesn't matter at all. Because you did all of this for your mother. There is one more important thing to consider here. You clearly did all of this for your mother's sake, but that certainly does not mean that you loved her. Rather, you did all of this because you are also afraid of loneliness. You are afraid that you might end up alone, that no one in this world would love you, and that's why you did everything you did. At this point, Kang says, yes, you are right. Because up until now, everyone Kang had killed, he had seen them together in their memories. That was real love, where he says that love is when two people live together. It's something that can even heal the cracks in our hearts. In fact, we can even say that love is a curse that can either prove to be fatal for us or turn out to be something very good. After realizing all these things, the captain says, now there's no need to worry, gang, because everything will end right here. After that, we see that the captain calls her father and asks, Father, do you hate me? Don't you love me? We see that her father comes outside and the flesh of both of them is being pulled away from their bodies. In the air, in the middle, her father says, Daughter, what are you saying? You are my other half, so how could I possibly hate you? Because you are me and I am you. So there is no reason for me to hate you. And we see that here, even the captain's body parts are separating from her body. We see that Kang, who is standing outside the circle, is watching both of their nonsense, and he is still in shock. He just can't realize what exactly is happening here. He says that after using my mother and father, after killing both of them, and after destroying my world where now no one is left alive, these two now want to die a peaceful death. After bringing about all of this chaos and destruction, he is left wondering to himself what hidden motivations these two had that made them do all of this. That is their only reason, such a pathetic reason that they were afraid of being alone. For such a pathetic reason, these two did so much. After this, Kang is not only crying, but also feeling angry. After witnessing all of these incredible things and seeing exactly where she is giving her heart, Kang begins to reflect deeply. He thinks back to that previous girl, the captain, who had miraculously healed her entire body with just the touch of a single finger. This realization leads him to believe that if he can somehow obtain that previous heart, he will possess the power to completely and fully heal his mother's condition using the strength of that heart. And this is the same power that is now in his grasp. With this, he can bring his mother back by turning back time. After this, he sees in front of his eyes the same motivational speech that the angel had given to Kang, where she had folded her hands and said to him that even if the world comes to an end, you must not lose hope. To save his mother, he must let this fire keep burning in his chest until the end of the world. Motivated, he says, "Yes, even if I die, just give me this power." Right then, we see Kang leap like a dog and snatch the heart from his hand. There, he eats the heart, while the mother, son, and father all stand and watch. At that moment, the girl calls out to him and says, "You're just an ordinary human, not a monster, so you can't possibly absorb his powers." We see that as soon as she says this, Kang starts screaming loudly, and up until now, everything had been normal. A powerful light appears, filled with webs. It's so intense that no one can stand in front of it, and after eating the heart, he starts absorbing all the mana present. He also takes damage from it, but you already know how dangerous Kang's powers are. He can absorb anything, and after that, he can heal himself too. Seeing this, both father and daughter get very scared, wondering how this could even be possible, because their bodies are almost about to be destroyed. They are on the verge of death. That's when she tells him, "Why haven't you understood yet that the only way to escape this loneliness is through our death?" This applies to you as well. But in the middle, Kang interrupts her and says, "I'm going to meet my mother again, so keep your lousy speech to yourself." And this time, Kang's expression is on a whole different level. It's as if he's about to devour this world with the savagery in his eyes. Seeing this, the girl also gets scared, realizing that he is actually absorbing all those previous powers. This means that, and we see that Kang is in a half-dead state, yet he still doesn't stop. And seeing this, the captain is extremely shocked. At the same time, her eyes slowly begin to close, and then there's a massive explosion. It is so full of destructive power that forget about A rank, even a top-level S rank can't withstand it anywhere near. The crash is so massive that an intense light bursts forth, cracks start appearing all over the world, and we see that in one corner of the world, so many cracks appear that the world itself is truly destroyed. That is, the entire world explodes like a ball of fire, and a very intense light appears in space. The light is so powerful that it makes everyone's eyes shine intensely. After that, we see that everything suddenly turns dark. Nothing can be seen anywhere in the universe. We see that amidst the darkness, a skeleton is floating in the air, and this skeleton belongs to Kang. At first, he dies there, but because of his willpower, he regains consciousness. When he opens his eyes, he sees that his hands and feet have completely turned into skeletal structures. This also affects his memory to some extent. At first, he can't even remember why he was doing all of this. What exactly is going on? And he asks, "Who am I after all?" Seeing his own condition so deteriorated, anyone would ask this question. Here, we see that, yes, I know I am the administrator of hell, meaning the king of the underworld. And along with this, we see that Kang himself once again becomes the king of the underworld, just like before, and we see that his appearance also becomes exactly like the previous king of the underworld. But we see that as soon as this happens, the so-called gates start closing, and he somehow gets lost within those gates, and with that, everything goes dark. After that, we are shown a brief recap that the one before used to commit a lot of atrocities. He had destroyed the world, But because of his loneliness, he created a girl, the girl whom he had abandoned. But that girl, Kang, with the white hair, played with his mother and Kang's life, and with everyone else's too. After that, he turns into a monster. All of this happens, and we see that it's playing out on a screen here, and then a voice is heard asking, "Is this the one?" We see that this scene takes place in the underworld, where there is a pile of corpses, and the king of hell himself is sitting there. I told you, you would cry.